Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today I'm taking a look at CODEX Chaos Demons for Warhammer 40,000 9th edition, which was kindly sent along as a complimentary advanced review copy by Games Workshop for us to check out today. It's up, of course, for pre-order right now. And I would say this is probably one of the better reimaginings of what an army list looks like in Warhammer 40,000 for some time. I'm actually pretty pumped about this book. There's a bunch of reasons for it. One, it cohesively puts together the Chaos Demons into an army, which kind of happened in the previous Codex. You could take a Demonic Legion. Obviously, that would be pre the giant new Be'lakor miniature, which I love having come out, and firmly puts them sort of like thematically into the rules design for 40k as either the primary antagonist, so they're your army and they're led by giant demons and it's Demonic Legion, and you can mix the different sort of like gods together, or as an allied faction to one of the other chaos-tainted armies in the game. And that, I think, is really exciting, and I'll jump in and talk about that a little bit more in a second. But the background section, of course, the nature of the demon, we get an expanded look at like the Inquisition, which I think is really cool. And this book kind of feels a little bit more like the old Realms of Chaos books in its presentation of chaos, obviously with modern art and stuff like that. But it gives you a, like, from the point of view of the Imperium, like, look at this, Thunderhawk flying through a Nurgle-infested building, sort of like piece of artwork here. There's a lot of really cool sort of like, I guess, background takes on different war zones where each of the Chaos Powers has become ascendant and what that meant for the people who lived there, like Warzone Persephone, what it turned their planets into after everybody showed up. So Randa becomes this like insane city, and it was a very interesting like campaign. They have this sort of like guard regiment that aspires to perfection, but then perfection becomes a mania, and then the Ultramarines show up and it's like, oh, this went to a dark place, and they have to deal with the demonic infestation. It talks about the Great Rift, the Cicatrix, and the giant tear across reality. Basically, it's divided the Imperium in half. And then a big feature on Be'lakor, because he's the big cool new miniature in the range, and so he gets a bunch of look and time basically in the background. Talking about the Eye of Terror, there's a bit of feature in here on some of like the weirdness inside there where the Cadian Gate used to be, and certain sort of like key features, which I think was kind of neat. And then of course a beautiful color section of not a lot of new models. Like these models are relatively new. The Nergo line's relatively new because of course it's been revamped for Age of Sigmar. The Tzeentch line has some new stuff. There's also new stuff for from AOS that was ported in. Because the nice thing about the demons is when you get an upgrade, you get an upgrade across systems, right? Because the demons are timeless and they exist everywhere. And that multiversal nature of them, I think, has led to the 40k demon army benefiting from the same cool miniatures that went to Age of Sigmar, like this amazing contorted epitome, the new fiends, the gorgeous new Keeper Secrets, and of course the very cool new Be'lakor. So there's our big color section. We're into the rules. All right, Ash, quit screwing around. Well, the rules are, it's funny because this is actually one of the smallest preambles for 40k Codex in a while. You've got 2 rules in here for the detachment abilities. You are a Legion's Demonica detachment, provided that everyone in your army, all the detachments, have either the Legion's Demonica keyword or Agent of Chaos are on a line, which is for like terrain, and some of the cool new Agent of Chaos characters and other things that are basically, they don't break. It's the Chaos version of Agents of the Imperium, where stuff like Inquisitors don't break your army of legions. If you have the Demonic Legion rule, then you gain the Demonic Allies, Demonic Legion, and Demonic Relics ability. So Demonic Relics, if your army includes a Demonic Warlord, you can give one Demonic character model from your army a relic. This can be selected from the Relics of Khorne, Relics of Tzeentch, Relics of Nergo, Relics of Slaanesh. I'm not super sure how that interacts with the current rules from the tournament system. I think that still overrides this. And if your army only contains Demonica detachments and includes any greater demon units, then one of them must be your Warlord, unless it also includes Be'lakor, in which case he's your Warlord. And for every greater demon, you can have one Herald unit for the same allegiance without having them take up a battlefield role slot. So basically, all of your greater demons let you have a free Herald, like detachment-wise. And then Demonic Allies. The following rules apply if you wish to include any Legion's Demonica unit in a Chaos army, which not every unit has the Legion's Demonica keyword. So if your army includes one Legion's Demonica detachment, and the combined power rating of all the units in that detachment is no more than 25% of your army's total power level, then until the end of the battle, every unit in that detachment gains the Agents of Chaos keyword. If Bolar Color is included, though, no Be'lakor. You don't get Agents of Chaos. You can't take, this isn't a way to sneak Be'lakor to any Chaos army. And the inclusion of them in a Khorne unit and a Khorne army does not prevent world leaders units from your army from using any rules that require them to have the same keyword. So basically each of them unlocks a different codex. So world leaders can use all the Khorne stuff in attachment with Agent of Chaos. Thousand Suns can use all the Tzeentch stuff. Death Guard can use all the Nurgle stuff, and then Emperor's Children can use all the Slaanesh stuff. So you get basically a mini detachment, ally detachment of demons in all the armies. And that might be my favorite part of this codex so far. Like, in the old days, Chaos armies were this insane mix of stuff from the Warp and stuff that had been tainted by the Warp and Traitor Astartes, and they're like, you could have like, the second edition Chaos Codex, you could have like Beastmen and Chaos Warriors and like Trolls and like just all kinds of weird, like you have to think they're shipping out from like Demon Worlds and like they're spending time inside Space Hulks and stuff's just like arriving, so it gives back a bit of that sort of madness and pageantry and gives you access to all these models. So I'm very excited about that. I think that's a very cool new rule. And that's it as far as just like the detachment abilities. And then we get into data sheet abilities. Okay, so allegiance. You must, if you have the allegiance tag, you must give them a keyword. So basically, if you don't come with a keyword like Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, or Slaanesh already, like all the marked demons do, if you're like a demon prince, something like that, and you have access to one, you have to be given one. So no undivided demon princes, weirdly. I think there's maybe a Bellicor thing that gets around that. Then Malefic Weapons. Malefic Weapons are a weapon profile that has a bracket number next to it. Whenever you make an attack in melee with a Malefic Weapon or shooting or whatever, you make a number of additional attacks equal to the number in brackets, and you can never have more or less. You have to make just that number of attacks. That's all you get with that Malefic Weapon. It's kind of a way of like harnessing some of the more powerful, crazy weapons in the Codex. And then Demonic, you have Demonic Invulnerability. This is talked about a bunch in Warhammer Community. Everybody gets 2 saves, one in melee, one against shooting. They can never be modified in any way. So they're not invulnerable saves, which I think is interesting. So anything that gets rid of invulnerable saves doesn't get rid of this save. It's just a completely unmodifiable save. So if you hit them with a -6, AP super weapon, they still get the save. They're not in our reality. They do what they do. And then this might be one of the more interesting ones on top of that is Manifestation. So during deployment, you can set up this unit in the warp instead of setting up on the battlefield. If you do so, then in the reinforcement step of one of your movement phases, you can set this up anywhere in the battlefield, more than 9 from the enemy, and more than 6 away from any enemy models, and wholly within 6 of a friendly warp locus model that was on the battlefield at the start of the turn. So it's either more than 6 away from warp, if it's like near a warp locus, or more than 9 away if it's normal. If the Warp Locus model has an allegiance keyword, the unit being set up can only use ability if it has the same allegiance keyword. So if you show up next to a locus, you can actually be within 6 of the enemy when you teleport in, which is very cool. Because you're not really teleporting, you're kind of just like shimmering in out of reality, or you're like slingering in Doctor Strange style. Now, here's the neat thing, and this is actually something that I think is going to really, really, encourage mono builds of a different god, like an individual god. If every unit from your army has the Legion's Demonica keyword, then the reinforcement step of one of your movement phases, you can instead set up this unit anywhere in the battlefield with one of the following restrictions. Either wholly within your deployment zone and more than 3 from any enemy, so you can just arrive in your deployment zone and be like at least 3 away, which is super close, or neither wholly within your deployment zone or in the opponent's deployment zone and more than the number of inches away from each enemy unit equal to the current leadership characteristic of that unit. And there's a bunch of ways of reducing enemy leadership in this army, including Demonic Terror, which is the next aura ability. So, yeah, you can always do the Warp Locus thing to be within 6 and bring the Warp Locuses in, but you can just show up in your deployment zone and like push people out of it and stay outside of 3, or you can bounce back outside of leadership, basically, of a unit, so and reduce their leadership with a bunch of different abilities. So like that's the Manifestation rule is kind of cool because it like. You got a bunch of guys who can't get in transport vehicles. They don't have a lot of ways of getting on the battlefield. This allows you to kind of like respond to enemy movements in a very kind of unique and it feels like ghosts appearing out of nowhere. Like it's a very cool, there's warp rifts and warp storms happening kind of way. And then Demonic Terror. On enemies within 6 of this unit, subtract 1 from its leadership tests and 1 from its combat attrition tests. So there you go. Already everyone's -1 leadership for the purposes of this rule, basically. As long as there's like another unit nearby already pinning them down or whatever. And then Warp Storm. This ability can be used to apply Warp Storm effects to eligible units in your army. So, over here. And the Warp Storm thing is basically like it kind of feels like the honor points for knights. It's kind of an extraneous outside the turn sequence thing. But you spend them turn by turn. So I actually really like this ability. It's like a bonus board. It actually feels a lot like, if you play other game systems, it feels a little bit like the strategy board from Saga. You roll 8d6. For every 4+, you get a point, Warp Storm point, and then you can spend them always on the Undivided stuff, and then additionally on the marked stuff if you have a marked unit in your army, as long as there's one marked unit from that god. So you can't like do Slaanesh stuff if you don't have any Slaanesh units. And they're pretty cool. Now, with 8d, and there's other ways to get them too, like characters can generate them, and there's a bunch of like different sort of purchase ability, like you don't really purchase them, but like Warlord Traits and stuff can give them to you. So, and even if you just played with the Undivided ones, they're neat in and of themselves. So you're gonna, on average, if you get a good roll, you probably get 5. If you get an average roll, you're gonna get 4. A poor roll, probably 3 or 2. There's lots of 2s in here. There's no 1s. There's 1 5, which is the big one, which is Dark Invigoration. And there's a lot of 2s, which means you're kind of on average gonna do 1 or 2 of these things during a turn. So if you get the 5, Dark Invigoration, you do it during your morale step. You roll a d3 for every wounded model, and they regain that many wounds. If there's no wounded models, you roll a d3 and you replenish that number of destroyed models. When it gets replenished, you can return d3 destroyed models to that unit with their full wounds remaining, if they've all got a wounds of 1. And then those models that were destroyed don't count for morale for the rest of the turn, which is very interesting. So if you lose a ton of guys in combat, you basically lose d3 less guys and then make your morale test because it's started the morale turn. Now that's 5 Warp Storm points. Primeval Terror, you the Demonic Terror ability goes up by 1, so your additional -1 for your Demonic Terror. Music of the Warp, Demonic Terror gets an extra 6 inches of range for instrument units. So the Pipers and stuff like that, who are instrument characters, basically have a 12-inch range now for the -2 leadership. There's a bunch of like leadership debuffing stuff in here too, to try and make people fail morale tests, which is very like kind of fitting for the army. Malicious Misdirection, this one's neat. During the reinforcement, or the end of the opponent's movement phase, you spend 2 Warp Storm points, and the enemy can only deploy their reinforcements as if it was round 2. So no showing up at the back of the table, they can only show up on the flanks. Magnified Glory for 3, you can increase the aura abilities of all Legion's Demonica units at the start of any turn for 3 points by 3 inches, so all your auras go up by 3 inches. Otherworldly Tread, ignore all the modifiers to your movement, charge, and advance rolls for 2 at the start of your movement or charge phase, and it's for the rest of the turn. Descending Shadow for 3, and it uses in your opponent's shooting phase until the end of the phase. If you're more than 12 inches away from your Legion Demonica units, you're -1 to hit. And then Insidious Whispers, you perils on any double while you're within 12 of a Legion's Demonic unit, if you're a Psyker. So that's just the core ones. And then God by God, you get a bunch of 4s and a bunch of 2s typically. A couple 3s in here, I think Sorceress Winds and Lightning Speed, and also Rampant Mutation. So Khorne, Fury of Khorne, all your Khorne demon units get +1 attack for 4. Now, interestingly, Burning Terror and Swarming Insects, Wave of Sickness are actually identical, but at very different ranges. They're both 2 Warp Storm points. This is if you have Khorne models in your army. Roll a d6 for every enemy unit within 24 of any Khorne units in your army, and that's not wholly within area terrain. On a 6, I take d3 mortal wounds. That's kind of dicey. I don't think I'd ever do it. I mean, but the range is so huge, and not being in area terrain being the only proviso, it might just be worth doing if you have the points, you have nothing else to do. Just fish for 6s, especially if your opponent has like an MSU army with lots of little units in it. You might get lucky. You have nothing else to do with it, maybe. And then for Overwhelming Rage, it costs 4 until it uses this effect at the start of your opponent's movement phase. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy unit goes to move with an engagement range, on a 4+, they can't fall back. So you trap them with you, basically. So the Khorne ones are neat. There's like a weird burning blow-up effect. The +1 attack is just pretty stapley. You know what I mean? You're going to be in melee if you're playing Khorne. And then the Overwhelming Range, that's not bad. I think it's pretty cool. But you only get these at the start of the battle round, so it's not like you're going to get your 4 back during their turn. I guess you can use them right away. Nergal, you're going to get, for 4 Swarming Insects, you get +1 to hit when you're engaged for melee attack for every Nergal unit in your army. That can be huge because a lot of them have low weapon skill. Plague of Rust for 2. When you fight a vehicle, you get +1 AP with your Nergal units. And then Wave of Sickness, it's the same as Burning Terror, but no like proviso of not being able to go through area terrain. And it's within 12 inches instead of 24. So shorter range, still on a 6, take D3 mortal wounds, and if you're in, it doesn't care if you're in area terrain or not. So the Nergal ones are a lot more short range, a lot more melee oriented, and some anti-vehicle stuff. Tzeentch gets Deluge of Fire, you get +1 ballistic skill for every single unit in your army for 4. That's pretty cool. Start the shooting phase. Sorceress Winds for 3. Use this effect at the start of your psych phase, get +1 on your psych tests, and then Rampant Mutation for 3. Until the end of the phase, each time Legions Demonica, the ancient model in your army makes a melee attack, an unmodified wound roll of 6 does a mortal wound. In addition to normal damage, to a maximum of 3, though. It's capped at 3. But remember, it's every unit in your army. So the winner feels like Deluge of Fire, +1 plus skill, because you're shooting, you have lots of shooting stuff. And then if you switch to Rampant Mutation and fish for 6s, it's a lot of mortal wounds, potentially. Again, you're probably only getting 4 to 5 of these a turn, though. So you kind of need to know what you're doing every round when you build your army. And there's no way stopping this, either. And then Slaanesh, you fight first for 4 with everybody who's in engagement. Lightning speed, you get +1 to advance and charge rolls for the rest of the turn for 3. And then Dark Hallucinations. Make a 2d6 roll against your leadership if you start an action within 12 of Slaanesh. If it's higher than your leadership, the action fails and you take D3 mortal wounds. So just shut down actions. That feels like a Dark Horse good ability. Having like a bunch of little Slaanesh units around, or just taking a Slaanesh army in general, and then having like all those little like retrieve Knockman data units, you know what I mean? Like have to make a leadership test, especially if they're like Grots or something, and then they take D3 mortal wounds and it just fails. That's kind of that feels like it might be very useful. I might be overestimating it though, because the button pushy non-interactive objectives are a little less now in this edition. All right, and then we're into the books, and there's 5 books. There's basically a book for each chaos god. So blood, change, excess, and what's the Nergo one called? Disease. Book of Contagion. Yeah, Contagion, excess, and then the Book of Be'lakor, because you know he's his own guy. He doesn't need no master. The Book of the Warp, sorry, the main one. All right, everybody gets their own, and this is kind of like really big. I like the way the book's laid out. It's really big, expanded like faction sets. Like in an older codex, this would just be like, here's how you play, I don't know, this sub-faction. Here's how you play that sub-faction. And it would be like parts of this. So it'd be like their stratagems, their relics, and their warlord traits. But it puts the data sheets in here too. And it's such a better way of presenting the information. I hope future codexes are like this. Just give us the information in a section and we can refer to it all together. So I'm not flipping to the army list and then flipping back to like the faction stuff. I like that way better. And they're all divided the same. So your Bloodthirster upgrades, there's 3 of them. They're just like buying like a chapter master upgrade for a space marine. You pay the power of the points, you get this thing. You only have 1 per army. Named characters can't have them. Blah, blah, blah. Same for all the armies. So you get Indomitable Onslaught for 2 power, 40 points. And that's a model cannot lose more than 8 wounds in the same phase. Any wounds after that are not lost. So kind of like a cheapo Gazgul. He has a lot of wounds though, so 8's a pretty big deal. Master the Blood Tide for 1 or 20. Each time this model fights, if it performs a made a charge move, was charged, or heroically intervened, get +1 to strength and attack. So kind of a better shock assault. And then Rage Unchained for 2 and 35. This model is considered to have double the number of remaining wounds for what its characteristics are. Rage Unchained feels like the big winner because when you have a big fat wound stack, doubling it for your profile would usually take you over half. It means until you go below a quarter of your starting wounds, you're usually not wounded. All right, your strats. And there's not tons of them, which I love. Please, for the love of God, Games Workshop, stop, like reduce the amount of strats. Just reduce my mental load. That's all I care about. Like if I was just playing Khorne and this was it, the Book of the Warp has a couple more, but like I can remember 6 things. I can't remember 36 things in any useful, meaningful way. Most people can't. So Frenetic Bloodlust for 1 or 2. Select a Bloodletter core unit from your army in the fight phase. If they're not within engagement range, they make a normal move up to 6. It must end its move close to the closest visible enemy unit. If it's within engagement range, it piles in. That's it. If this unit made a normal move, it costs 2, otherwise it costs 1. So you just want to pile in, yay, for 1. You get more models in range. Glorious Decapitation for 2. Use a strat when an enemy character model is destroyed by a melee attack made by a Khorne character from your army. Until the end of the battle, that Khorne character has the following ability, Aura, Slayer of Champions. While the friendly legion's demonic Khorne units within 6 of this model, each time model makes an attack, an unmodified wound roll of 6 does a mortal wound on the target in addition to a maximum of 6. So that one's pretty great as an epic deed. Just have one of your characters kill an enemy character, and then all friendly legions demonic core within 6 now get 6 to wound exploding mortal wounds to a maximum of 6. Like the other one, the army-wide one was capped at 3. That was pretty good. I like that one. Glorious Decapitation, and the name's great. 1 for Relics of the Brass Citadel. Select a Khorne character and give them a Relic of Khorne. You can use it twice in a Strike Force game, so let's give extra relics. Contempt for Sorcery. Use stratagem in the opponent's psychic phase after a psych test is passed for an enemy psyker unit, and after any deny the witch tests are made. If they're within 24 of a Khorne unit from your army, roll a d6, adding 1 if their Psyker is within 12 of any Flesh Hounds. On a 4+, it's denied. So the Callers of Khorne still do something, which is great. Brass Stampede, use it on Khorne Cavalry and Khorne Vehicles. Select one enemy unit within engagement range of this unit and roll a d6 for each model in the charging unit, adding 3 if they're a vehicle. On a 6 to 8, they take D3 mortal wounds. On a 9, they take D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. So basically on a 3+, they take D3 if you're a vehicle. On a 6, they take D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. So those Soul Grinders get kind of good. And then Banner of Blood for 1. Use it when you're selected to charge until the end of the phase. Each time you make a charge roll for that unit, roll 1 additional d6 and discard the lowest. So roll 2, pick the highest for a charge. That's actually really nice. All right, and then your Warlord traits. There are 6, so full sets. Scarbrand gets Rage Incarnate, Skulltaker gets Devastating Blow, and Karnak gets Aspect of Death. So Aspect of Death's an aura. -1 leadership for each model if that model's in combat. And each time a combat attrition test is taken for that unit, subtract 1 from its attrition test. So you get a 6-inch bubble to, again, reduce leadership. Brazen Hide, 5+ Wound Shrug. Devastating Blow. Rules that ignore wounds can't be used against their melee attacks, so Skulltaker's got that one. Glory of Battle. Add 1 to the Warlord's attacks while the Warlord's within 3 or 6, 3 inches or 6 of 6 or more. Sorry, not or 6. 3 inches of 6 or more enemy models. Add 1 to their attacks. And while the Warlord's within 3 of 11 or more, add 1 to the Warlord's attacks. So basically, they get up to 3 extra attacks if they're fighting 11 guys. And then Immense Power. When you make a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll. And Rage Incarnate, and this is the one that Scarbrand has. Add 1 to advance and charge rolls for this Warlord, and each time a friendly Legion's Demonic Khorne core unit declares a charge roll against an enemy in engagement range of this Warlord, he makes them follow him in. Add 1 to the charge rolls, so people follow him into combat. And then your Relics, the Armor of Scorn. I just like the name of that. Scorn for Khorne. Each time attack with a damage characteristic of 1 is allocated, you get +1 save. Each time a bearer would lose a wound as a result of a wound in the psych phase, roll a d6 and a 4+, it's not lost. The Crimson Crown, at the end of each battle round, if the bearer destroyed any enemy models during the battle round, get 2 you can retain up to 2 unspent Warpstorm points. So you don't gain 2, but you can save 2 round by round, so you can bank them if you're in melee. And have like a big turn of Warpstorm points. Because you normally discard them all at the end of the turn. Rune of Brass, you have an aura of 12 inches, 1 enemy psychers within range. Each time a psych test is taken for that unit, it suffers perils if a dice roll includes any double. So you basically get a free version of that Warpstorm ability. And each time that unit suffers perils, it takes d6 mortal wounds instead of d3. The Blood Drinker Talisman. When you fight after resolving its attacks, roll 1d6 for each enemy model that was destroyed by those attacks, and a 5+ get a wound back. Can't get more than 6 backs per turn. Argath, the King of Blades. Select 1 melee weapon the bearer is equipped with. Add 1 to the damage characteristic of that weapon. And each time the bearer makes a melee attack with that weapon, you can ignore any or all modifiers to that attack's hit roll and any or all modifiers to its wound roll. And the weapon is now considered to be a relic for all rules purposes. And then Skull Reaver, model equipped with the Axe of Khorne only. You get to 2 attack modes. It's either +4, -4 d6 damage, or user strength -3, 1 damage. And each time an attack is made against a vehicle or monster unit with this weapon's Mighty Strike profile, that attack has a strength characteristic of 2 times and a damage of d3 + 3. Each time an attack is made against with this weapon's Sweeping Blow profile, make 2 hit rolls instead of 1. So you double your attacks with the Sweeping Blow, Mighty Strike. You could get +4, -4 d6 damage, or you could double your strength and be d3 + 3, more consistent damage against vehicles. All right, the Scarbrand with his busted wings. I like that he doesn't fly. Makes me happy still. He's a Warp Locust, which is cool, so guys can come within 6 of him. And then he's got 8-inch move, because he doesn't fly. 2+2+, strength 8, toughness 8, 22 wounds, 8 attacks, leadership 9, and then 4+4+. So his demonic aura save is always 4, and it's straight all the way down. The only thing that changes is attacks go up as he gets damaged, and his to hit and movement go down. So he goes to... and it's at half wounds. So 12+ wounds, he's fine. Goes to 6 to 11 wounds. He goes to 7-inch move, 3+ to hit, and 9 attacks. And then 6-inch to move, 4+ to hit, and 10 attacks, which I think is great. Just it's thematic, right? He gets madder. And that's the same for the Bloodthirsters. Actually, that's not the same with the Bloodthirsters. They actually go down. He screams at you. His Bellow of Endless Fury has a 12-inch range, assault 2d6, strength 5, -1, 1 damage. Auto hits like a flamer. And his 2 axes, Slaughter and Carnage. Mighty Strike is ×2, -4, D3 +3, and no invul saves against it. And then Sweeping Blow is user -2, 2 damage. And then he makes 2 hit rolls instead of 1. So he does 20 attacks at strength 8, -2, 2 damage when he's super mad. Can never be affected or targeted by psych powers. And then Rage embodies an aura. While units within 6 of this model, while a unit is within 6, any unit, your enemies too, everybody. Add 1 of their attacks. Each time a morale test is taken for that unit, it's automatically passed. Each time a unit is selected to fall back, roll 3d6. If it's higher than their leadership, they can't fall back. Finally, a test that the custodians can fail, right? An average roll on 3d6 is an 11, so they pass on average, but the custodians can actually fail that and go crazy and keep fighting. I think it's hilarious. So Scarbrand works exactly like in the lore. Everyone fights, no one quits, and that's it. Plain old Bloodthirster, you get all of his weapon options. The model's Great Axicorn can be placed with an Axicorn and one of the following, a Bloodflail Lash if you would like. And then your stats are 12-inch move. And then the weapon skill is the same basically. He's got 20 wounds instead of 22, so he brackets at 10. And his attacks go down from 8, 7 to 6. Otherwise, same as Scarbrand. Bloodflail, it's a shooting attack, 12-inch range assault 1 ×2. So it's strength 16 shooting attack, -4, 3d3 damage. Each time attack is made with this weapon, excess damage it inflicts is not lost. Instead, keep allocating excess damage to other models in the unit. Oh my god, I love that. I love that he just wraps up a bunch of dudes with it. I think that's so cool. Hellfire Breath, auto hits, just a flamer, 12-inch range. It's basically the Scream. Assault D6, 5 -2, 1 damage. The Bloodflail is amazing. I would almost always take it. Lashicorn, Assault 6, user. AP -1, 2 damage. I don't know why you take anything except for the Bloodflail. It's so good. Hits on a 2+, but does 2d3 damage that just goes to the unit. It's strength 16. So it's good against vehicles. It's good against troops because you don't get rid of the excess damage. It's just amazing. And then the Great Axicorn is strength 16, -4, D3 +3, or Sweeping Blow, you get 2 attacks at strength 8, -3, 2 damage. And then the Axicorn is +4, so strength 12, -4, D3, or D6, sorry. And then 2 attacks at strength 8, -3, 1 damage, otherwise. I think the Axicorn Bloodflail is just amazing. It's so good. Corn units within 6 of him can reroll hit rolls of 1, because he's a Demonic Lord of Corn. And then Relentless Charge. At the end of the fight phase, select 1 enemy unit with an engagement of this model and roll 1d6, subtracting 2 if they're an infantry character. On a 2+, they take d6 mortal wounds. So he just keeps on stamping on people. He has like a stomp attack. And he flies, because he's got wings, which Scarbrand doesn't. Skulldigger, 6 power. He's got points later on. 2+, 3+, 6, 6, 5 wounds, 6 attacks, leadership 8, 4+, 4+. He's got the Slayer Sword. Yeah, the thing you get when you're painting, see? He still got it. It's strength 6, -3, 3 damage, no invuls. Skulls, and you can't damage mitigate it either because of his Warlord trait. Skulls for Corn. Each time this character makes a melee attack against an enemy character unit, reroll the hit roll and wound roll. Each time an enemy character is destroyed by an attack made by this guy, the Herald of Corn and Lord of Decapitation's ability by 3 inches, so it goes up. So his Lord of Decapitations, where everybody gets better and does mortal wounds all of a sudden, goes up by 3 inches to a maximum of a 12-inch range. So Skulltaker killing characters by the end of the battle has a 12-inch range Lord of Decapitations super rule, where everybody's getting exploding 6s on 6s to wound. For mortal wounds. Reroll wound rolls of 1 because he's a herald for your core units, and then Lord of Decapitations. In your command phase, select 1 friendly Bloodletter's core unit within 6, and he'll start your next command phase, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. So he basically does like a My Will Be Done from Necrons just on Bloodletters. Bloodmaster, he's like your herald. His Blade of Blood, it's strength 6. Basically, he's got the same stats as Scarbrand, except he's less tough. 1 less wound, 1 less toughness, 1 less attack. Blade of Blood is just a damage 3. It's the same as the Slayer Sword, it's not no involves. Still has Herald of Corn, still has Bloodmaster. In your command phase, select a thing. Bloodish Courser within 6 until starting next command phase. When they make a melee attack, a modified hit roll of 6 auto wounds. And then Skullmaster, so when he's riding the big murder pony, 10-inch move, 2+, 3+, strength, toughness 6, 7 wounds, 5 attacks, leadership 8, 4+, 4+ for his demonic save. Same Blade of Blood, Bladed Horn. It's the Malefic Force. It's the extra attacks from the mount. So they also use the Malefic ability to make the mount attack separate. Whenever you fight, if you make a charge move, then you're +2 strength for this weapon. Because it's the Juggernaut barreling in. And then you're still Herald, and you still have a Skullmaster for the 6s to hit auto wound. And a Red Master on a Blood Throne. Only 9 wounds now, so no degrading stat line. 2+3+, strength 6, toughness 7, 9 wounds, 5 attacks, leadership 8, 4+4+. The Attendant's Hellblades get Malefic 4 for -3/2 damage attacks, and the Blade of Blood is the same as the rest of the Bloodmasters. His extra ability is the Champion Slayer. Each time this model makes a melee attack against a character or monster, reroll the wound roll, which is nice. And then Karnak, the 3-headed Hound. Noblest skill, but 12-inch move, 2+ to hit, strength 6, toughness 5, 5 wounds, 6 attacks, leadership 8, and he's got a demonic save of 5+4+. So 4+ in melee, but 5+ against shooting. Same with the Bloodletters. He's got a Brass Collar of Bloody Vengeance. Oh, sorry, his Sword Ending Fangs are strength 6, -2 damage. His Brass Collar of Bloody Vengeance. In your opponent's psychic phase, this model can attempt to deny 2 powers as if it was a Psyker. And it's a pack leader. If there's Fleshhound's core within 6 of him, each time this unit makes an attack, he can reroll wound rolls of 1. If it targets a Psyker, reroll the whole wound roll instead. And then pray for the Blood God in your command phase. Select 1 enemy character unit in your first command phase, sorry. Each time this model makes an attack against that character unit, a successful wound roll inflicts 2 mortal wounds on the target and the attack sequence ends. If only he was higher strength, that would be great against Knights. And then Bloodletters, these are your core troops, obviously. They have 3+3+, strength 5, toughness 4, 1 wound, 2 attacks, leadership 6, and then a 5/4 demonic save. Hellblade is -3/2 damage though, so strength 5, -3/2 damage. They are a marine killer. Demonic Icon. Well, this unit has any models of Demonic Icon. It has the Icon keyword, and each time a combat attrition test is taken, ignore all the modifiers. If it contains any instrument to chaos, it has the instrument keyword, and add 1 to leadership characteristic of models in this unit. So you'd be leadership 7, 8. And demonic. Blood Crushers, and of course they get Obsec too from being in the detachment. Blood Crushers are your elites, so they get the same Malefic bladed horns that the mounted character gets, and their Hellblades are the same as the Bloodletters. Stats are basically the same except for extra toughness and 4 wounds, 3 attacks or 4 attacks for the Blood Hunter. And a slightly better leadership too, and their demonic save is 4+ against shooting. Same icons and instruments. Fleshhounds, they're basically Karnak, 3+ to hit, strength 5, toughness 4, 2 wounds, 5/4, 3 attacks each. Burning Roar, they can basically flame you, which is neat. The Gorehound is equipped with a Burning Roar, so the boss gets a Burning Roar, everybody else gets the Blood-Drenched Fangs. So Assault D6 Flamer, basically, 4 -1, 1 damage, and Gore-Drenched Fangs are only 1 damage, not 2 like the swords are. They can deny Psychic Power, though, because of the Color of Corn. And then Savage Pounce. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack with the Gore-Drenched Fangs, if they made a charge or a heroic intervention, they get +1 damage. They offset their damage 1 with charge damage. And the Skull Cannon, your one gun that isn't like a whip or something. Heavy D3+3, strength 8, -2, 2 damage, no cover, and it's blast. So that's a pretty great gun. 3+ to hit too. Strength 6, toughness 7, 9 wounds, 2 attacks, no degrading profile. Hellblades are Malefic 4, -3, 2 damage, and the Biting Maw is -1, 2 damage. And you get your Skull Altar. So this is your train piece that was originally in AOS. It's now in 40k. I think it was always in 40k, actually. I can't remember. But it's cool to see it here, too. Strength 6, toughness 8, 9 wounds, leadership 7, 4+4+. It can deny, make your denials for Psychers within 18 -2. So basically, they're not your denials. As an aura, while Psychers within 18 in this model, they're -2 to their psychic tests. It kind of nets out the same thing as what I said, but I said in a stupid way. War Altar, while models embarked in this transport model, this transport has the same aura abilities as the embarked model. So you basically can project your auras out of it. And you have 1 infantry herald that can stand on top of it. So you get to basically push out your auras from the altar still. And then Ritual Slaughter, while there's a model embarked in this transport model can attempt the following action. Ritual Slaughter, at the end of your movement phase, this model can start to perform this action. The action is complete at the end of your next charge phase. Once completed, roll 1d6 for each Legion Demonic Core unit from your army within 12 on a 4+. So that's within engagement range of enemy units on a 4+, gain a Warp Storm point. So basically, if your guys are fighting in melee, every unit on a 4+ generates a Warp Storm point while this guy's doing the ritual action. So throwing a Herald on this would be spendy, like you're talking about, I don't know, that thing's 60 points-ish. And then a Herald is... Bloodmaster's another 100 points. You'll do that action, but get more Warpstorm points. All right, Book of Change. So that's Khorne. I mean, mono Khorne, I don't know if it's great, but I think Khorne paired with something else is cool. The one thing I did notice, there's nothing that stops you from blending your gods in this. So you can have gods that typically hate each other actually fight together, and it's the one thing that's like bugging me. All right, so your upgrades for your loads of change. So you can do Architect of Deception for 35 points. Your minus 1 to hit with ranged attacks against him. The Master Mutator for 30. At the end of your psychic phase, roll a d6 for each enemy unit that suffered any mortal wounds as a result of a psychic power from this person. On a 2+, take a mortal wound. And then Nexus of Fate. In your command phase, if this model's in the battlefield, on a 4+, gain a command point. So be smart, do extra wounds with your fire, and then minus 1 to hit him. Minions of Magic is a strat. 1 CP. Use stratagem in your shooting phase when a Horror's Core is selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time a ranged attack is made by a model in that unit on an unmodified wound roll of 6, it's AP -3. Extra AP Burny Fire. Burning Warp Fire for 1 or 2. Use stratagem in the shooting phase when a Flamer's unit is selected to shoot until the end of the phase. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack with Flickering Flames or Pink Flames, that targets an enemy unit that contains 11 or more models. When determining how many attacks are made, results of 9 are 9. If the Flamer's unit contains 4 more models, this costs 2, otherwise it costs 1. I think they're 2d6 shots each, so anything that's less than 9 just counts as being 9. And it's, yeah, if you have 4 more guys, then it's going to cost you 2 CPs. But it's a lot of shots, especially when you can Warp Storm for +1 hit with everybody. Your Warp Jaws for 1 CP. Use a stratagem in the fight phase. When a Screamer's, Fate Skimmer, or Burning Chariot unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack is made with a Lamprey Bite or Screamer Bite model, they get +1 to wound. Magical Boon, get an extra psychic power, and manifest an extra psychic power. Sorry, it's not even get an extra one, it's just you can manifest an extra one for 1 CP. That's sort of the psychic phase. Relics, the Impossible Fortress, it's your extra relic one. Warp Portal for 1 or 2. Use stratagem in your movement phase when you select a Legion Demonica Tzeentch character from your army to make a normal move. Instead of moving as normal, just take them away and set them up anywhere in the battlefield more than 9 from the enemy. If the character has the Herald keyword, it's 1, otherwise it's 2. So it's 2 to ban for the big birds, 1 for the little ones. Your Flames of Mutation for 1 CP. Use the end of the fight phase, select 1 Horrors unit from your army that has any models destroyed during this phase. Select 1 enemy unit with an engagement range of that unit and roll a d6 for each model in that Horrors unit that was destroyed during that phase. For each 6 that enemy unit suffers a mortal wound, a unit can only suffer a maximum of 6 mortal wounds per phase as a result of this stratagem. And then the Blasted Standard for 1 CP, use a stratagem at the start of your psych phase. Select 1 Legion's Demonica Tzeentch unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time a unit, you make an unmodified psych test of 9 or more for a friendly Legion Demonica Tzeentch psyker within 12 of that unit. The closest enemy unit within 24 invisible takes a mortal wound. So it shoots out mortal wounds while you're doing psychic powers. All right, your psychic powers. This is something else we didn't have to do in the Khorne book. You get 6. The Boon of Change. It's a blessing. Warp Charge 6, select a friendly Tzeentch unit with an 18 and roll d3 until the start of your next psych phase. Gain the relevant bonus. So it's per, like, the rest of the battle round, basically, until your next psych phase. Well, actually, not even the rest of the battle round, until your next psych phase. That's random. So you get +2 move, +1 strength, or +1 toughness. But it's random. I don't like random. However, if the result of the psych test was 9 or more, you can select which result applies instead of rolling d3. So you can pick if you roll 9+. Bolt of Change. Witchfire, Warp Charge of 7. If manifested, select 1 enemy unit with an 18 invisible and roll 9d6. For every 5+, take a mortal wound. And for each model destroyed as a result of these mortal wounds, the unit suffers 1 additional mortal wound. They can't generate more mortal wounds. So basically, every 5, if you're doing 1 wound models, you double the amount of mortal wounds that you generate. Gaze of Fate, Blessing, has a Warp Charge value of 7. If manifested at the end of the battle round, if the Psyker's on the battlefield, you can retain up to 2 unspent Warp Storm points. That's nice. So the Khorne guys get that kind of by fighting. This is all done by Psych powers. Treason of Tzeentch, Malediction, has a Warp Charge of 7. If manifested, select 1 enemy unit with an 18 invisible to the Psyker. Until the start of your next Psych phase, that enemy unit's not affected by the aura abilities of other enemy units. Infernal Flames has a Warp Charge of 7. If manifested, select 1 friendly Legion Demonica Tzeentch core with an 18 invisible. Until the start of your next psychic phase, each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, add 1 to the wound roll. And then Infernal Gateway, Warp Charge 8. The closest enemy unit within 18 invisible to the Psyker, and each other enemy unit within 3 of that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. If the result of the psychic test was 12 or more, each affected unit takes 3 mortal wounds. So basically, pick somebody, and then the closest ones within 3 of them also take D3 mortal wounds, which is cool. All right, Warlord Traits. So first one's Born to Sorcery. Add 1 to the Psychic test for the Warlord. In corporeal form, -1 to wound against them. Fractal Mind. If they attempt to perform a psychic action in your psychic phase, you can still attempt to do 1 psychic power during that phase without action failing. Then you've got Warp Tether. You have the Warp Locus keyword, and then you have the following ability. Aura, when a friendly Legion Demonic Tzeentch unit from your army is within 12 of this model, and they take a morale test, you can reroll the result. Lord Keeper of Tzeentch. Each time this Warlord successfully manifests a power from the Pandemoniac Discipline, add 6 inches to the range of the power. If the range of the power specifies more than 1 range, only add 6 to the first. So no Infernal Gateway popping 9 inches left and right. And then Tyrant of the Warp, you never suffer perils, and each time you lose a mortal wound as a result of a wound as a result of a mortal wound on a 5+, it's not lost. So Kairos gets the Tyrant of the Warp, so 5+ wound share against mortals and no perils. In corporeal form on the blue scribes, -1 to wound, and Warp Tethers on the changeling. Your Relics. So you get a Endless Grimoire for Psychers only. You can do the following action, Study the Grimoire. Start of your shooting phase, you can perform this action. This action is completed at the start of your next command phase. If you select the power from this Pandemoniac Discipline until the end of the battle, you know this power in addition to the other ones. You can earn more powers over the course of the game. The Impossible Robe. Once per phase, when a saving throw is failed for this bearer, you can reduce the damage to 0. And then the Ever Stave, Psychic only. Each time this bearer attempts to manifest a Witchfire, Psychic Power, or Smite, if an unmodified Psychic test is 9 or more, you can't deny it. I think the Impossible Robe and the Ever Stave are the 2 that might be the most cool. Although, the Warpfire Blade, +1 damage to your weapon. When you make a wound roll of 6, a mortal wound is done in addition to normal damage, and you count as a relic. Is also nice and killy, but fairly simple. Your Rod of Sorcery can be a Soulbane. It's Assault 3d3, 6 - 2, 3 damage. That's a lot of damage, 3 shots. A lot of dead Terminators. Not that anyone uses Terminators. And then Soul Eater Stave. I guess a lot of heavy Intercessors. Psychic model only. Each time the enemy model is destroyed by a mortal wound as a result of a Psychic power manifested by the bearer, roll a d6. On a 4+, you regain a lost wound. So it's kind of like the Psychic version of the melee stuff that you had in Khorne. Then we got our data slates. So Kairos, 12-inch move, 3+, 3+, 6, 7, 22 wounds. He's kind of got those Scarbrand stats. 5 attacks, leadership 10. His attacks go down to 3, and he brackets at half, down to 5+ weapon skill. But his ballistic skill stays the same all the time, and then his move goes to 8. Staff of Tomorrow, +2 strength, -3 AP, 2d3 damage. So he's strength 8 in melee. He's a demonic Lord of Tzeentch, which means it's reroll hits of 1 within 6 for core. 1 head looks forward. Each time a psychic test is taken for this model, add the current battle round number to the result. Oof, oof. And then 1 head looks back. Once per battle when your opponent uses a stratagem, excluding the command reroll, and use his ability. If you do so until the end of the battle, the CP cost of your opponent must pay to use that stratagem is increased by 1. That can really nerf certain armies. So Kairos is still real good. He's got a 5+, 3+ save though, so 5+ against shooting, 3+ in melee. So you actually kind of want him in combat. And of course he flies in his demonic locus. You can have to manifest 3 psychic powers and deny 3 psychic powers in your opponent's psychic phase. It knows Smite and all the powers from the Pandemoniac Disciplines. You know all of them. And then Lord of Change, 15 power, so he's a bit less expensive. Same degrading core stat line entirely as Kairos. Rod of Sorcery, 12-inch range assault, d6, 6 -1, 2 damage. Baleful Sword, +1, -3, 3 damage. It's Malefic 3. So you get 3 attacks in addition, which means they never go down with the Baleful Sword, which is nice. And then Staff of Tomorrow is user strength -2, 3 damage, and you get your degrading attacks with that one. And you have a Baleful Sword or a Rod of Sorcery. And you come with a Staff of Tzeentch. So you always get your Staff of Tzeentch. So you get the gun or you get the extra attacks. And then still Lord of Tzeentch. And a Master Magic. Each time a psychic test is taken for this model, add 1 to the result. If it's 10 or more wounds remaining, add 2. And then manifest 3 and deny 2. And it knows Smite and 3 psychic powers from the Pandemonic Discipline. The Changeling. 6-inch move, weapon skill 4+, plus skill 3+, 3/5, 5 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8, 5+, 3+. His staff is each time your player is selected to fight, select one melee weapon, an enemy infantry model with an engagement range of the bearer is equipped with, and until the fight's resolved, you have that weapon. So, whatever you want. Sword of Secrets, you know, blind sword, you can have whatever you want as your melee weapon, basically. You just copy it. And then you're a Formless Horror. Each time a model is selected to fight, you can select one enemy infantry model in range. Use their weapon skill, strength, and attack characteristic. So you turn into Ghazghkull, and you kill Ghazghkull as Ghazghkull. And then your Herald is the ancient reroll wound rolls a 1 for core, within 6. Fate Skimmer. 14-inch move, 4/3, 3/6 for his strength and toughness, 9 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8, 5/3 for his saves. They get to add 1 to their psychic tests for their Retinue of Horrors. And then Staff of Change is Assault 3, 18-inch range, +4/-4, 2 damage. Ritual Daggers, just -1, 1 damage. Screamer Bites, Strength 6, -3, 2 damage. Malefic 6, you get 6 extra bites for the Chariot. And you can be equipped with the Retinue of Horrors, and you can replace the dagger with a Staff of Change. He's got Heralds of Tzeentch for reroll 1s to wounds, and Fate Skimmer. In your command phase, select one friendly Screamers unit within 6, and until your next command phase, each time a model makes an attack, a hit roll of 6 automatically wounds. Get 2 psychic powers, deny 1. Smite and 2 powers. Flux Master, it's your Herald on foot. Use 12-inch move, weapon skill 4 plus skill 3, strength toughness 3/4, 6 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8, 6, 3 damage. So 6+ against shooting, 3+ against melee. It's a weird difference. He's got like horror stats. He can be equipped with the Staff of Change. Same as the other ones. He's a Herald, Flux Master. Your hits of 6 for your core automatically wound if you're within 6. And you select 1 friendly unit to do it. Blue Scribes. 12-inch range, 4+4+, strength 3, toughness 4, 5 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8, 5+, 3+. Get a better save than the Flux Master. Your Discblade, strength 4, AP 0, 1, Malefic 1, and then Sharp Quills, just your base attacks. Your Demonic, Terex's Sorceress Siphon is an aura. While an enemy psychers within 12, it's -1 to its tests for psych powers. And each time a psych test is failed for that unit, that's power is Siphon. Until the end of the battle, that unit cannot attempt to manifest that psychic power. Actions aren't affected. So you just, if you don't get that off, then you can't do it anymore for the rest of the game. And then it's Zrap's Sorceress Barrage. At the start of your psychic phase, you can resolve each of the following effects once in any order. Roll 2d6 and select 1 result. This model can automatically manifest the same psychic power from the Pandemoniac Discipline that corresponds with that number. If this model successfully siphoned any psychic powers in the previous psychic phase, it automatically manifests the Smite psychic power. And these are considered to have manifested with an roll equal to their warp charge value and can't be denied. A Changecaster. Oh wait, is this your Herald? I can't remember now. Changecaster? No, the Flux Master is the Herald, I'm pretty sure. He looks like a horror. He is a 6-inch move, weapon skill 4+, plus skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 4, 5 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8, 6+, 3+. Staff of Change, Ritual Dagger. He's a Herald. Changecaster. No, they're both Heralds, that's why. The names are just different. In your command phase, select a Horrors unit. Hits of 6 are automatically going to wound. Knows 2 psychic powers, can deny 1. And then we got Blue Horrors and Pink Horrors. Now the Blue Horrors turn into Brimstone Horrors, so they're cheap ones. They're movement 6, 5+, 4+, strength 2, toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 5, 6+, 4+. Coruscating Flames, range 18 inches, assault 2, +1 strength, -1 AP, 1 damage. They cannot perform actions, so take that, cheap unit. They can never gain Obsec. So Blue Horrors are nobody, and they split into Brimstones when they die. To make a split roll for each destroyed model, roll a 4+, and you can add a Brimstone Horde to the units. It's not automatic anymore. So only half of them become Brimstones. Well, dice roll, basically. When you do that, the Brimstone Horde cannot be set up with an engagement range of any enemy units unless the enemy that's in this is already engagement range. So they're still core, but they can't be Obsec, and splitting is now on a 4+. Pink Horrors, same, basically a level up from Blue Horrors. They can be Obsec, right? They can perform actions. They are 4+, 3+, strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 6, 6+, 3+. Coruscating Flames are exactly the same. They can have an icon and instrument, and then one pink horror that's not equipped with it can be given the instrument, and one can be given the demonic icon. Exploding horrors, oh sorry, they can perform actions. Sorry, this unit cannot perform actions, and they lose obsec, while it only has blue horrors or brimstone horrors. So they start off able to do everything, and then once they turn into the other horrors, they can't do it anymore. And then split, each time an enemy unit shoots or fights, after resolving those attacks, roll a split roll for each enemy mutant model destroyed, roll 4+, and then they split. If a pink horror model splits, add 2 blue horrors to this unit. If a blue horror model splits, add 1 blue brimstone horror. Each model is added to this unit, the model cannot be set up and then engage range, blah, blah. So you need to keep 1 pink horror alive until the end, leading the unit, basically. And there's no, like, it doesn't say you have to allocate, so you just allocate to the split models, the split off models as you go. And that does make the unit still pretty grindy, but it's a roll now to see if they split. Flamers. All right, Flamers. 2 to 5. They're 4+3+, strength 5, toughness 4, 3 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 7. Flickering Flames are that's right. If it's less than 9, it's always 9, so D6 plus 3. It's not 2D6. And strength user, -2, 1 damage, and auto hits. So if it's less than 9, it's 9. It's just you get your maximum shots. And they're core, so why not? So I don't know why I have ballistic skill, but still. An Exalted Flamer, 10-inch move, 3+3+, strength 6, toughness 5, 5 wounds, 4 attacks. Can never have a relic or warlord trait though, even though it's a character. And Blazing Warfire is an aura. Flamers within 6 have +1 strength. And then its fire can be different colors, either Assault 3, Strength 9, -4, 3 damage, or Assault 2d6, Strength 4. And it is a Flamer, sorry, so I guess it would get the less than 9 is 9 for that 2d6 roll. -1, 2 damage, or -1, 1 damage on auto hits. Yeah, Screamers, 16-inch move, 4+ to hit, Strength toughness 4, 3 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 8. And the Lamprey bites +2 strength, so strength 6, -3, 2 damage. Riders of the Winds, immaterial winds. Each time this unit advances, you just take it and put it anywhere in the battlefield, not within 9. And then Slashing Dive in your movement phase. After this unit makes a normal move or advances. If you did not, set this up again using the Riders rule. Select the enemy unit it moved across, and roll a d6 for each model in that unit that moved across the enemy unit. On a 4+, take a mortal wound. Burning Chariots. 9 wounds, so again, no damage track, strength up to 6. It's a horror otherwise, movement 14. Does the same Super Flamer abilities, it's just a mounted Exalted Flamer. And you can be equipped with a Horror Infestation. While an enemy hits within 12 of this model, subtract 1 from psych test they take. Has the same one. All right, the Book of Contagion. We're into the Nergly stuff. So the gifts for the Great Unclean One, we got Bountiful Gifts, Hideous Visage, and Revoltingly Resilient. So the Bountiful Gifts is the keep 2 unspent Warp Storm points round to round. So that's just a bonus basically for 25 points. I think, so like the conditional ones, like have it be in melee or have it if you kill people with psychic powers, not as good as this one. You can just buy the ability to do it. So when it comes to spending Warp Storm points, the Nerg one kind of just wins because you can just buy and save up your points. Extra 25 points, it's good. Yeah, that has to compete pretty hard with the other two. For 20 points, Hideous Visage. It's an aura, while an enemy's within 6, subtract 1 from their leadership, and -1 from combat attrition tests. So that's on top of the normal demonic one, so you're basically -2. And there's no cap on modifying leadership that I know of, unlike armor saves and hit and wound rolls. So yeah, -2 for your combat res, that's pretty great. Sorry, armor save's not capped. I meant bonuses to armor save. And then Revolting Resilient, each time a melee attack is made against this model, subtract 1 from its damage. That one's just blanket good, obviously. You're going to have a pile of wounds because you're a Great Unclean One, even more than a normal Greater Demon, but I don't know, just being able to buy the ability to save those round by round, and then be able to... I think that basically means that you'd be able to throw in, because you're getting average 4 per turn, low roll probably 3 with your 8 dice. You could Dark Invigoration every single round if you wanted to, being able to keep 2 per, oh sorry, every other round, being able to keep 2 battle round to battle round. I would get them some other way. Strats, Revolting Constitution. Use a stratagem when a Plague Bearer unit from your army is selected to target the attack. It's basically transhuman. So if it's power rating of 12 or more, it costs 2, otherwise it costs 1. Transhuman Physiology. A Chortling Moraine, but it's only Plague Bearers. Chortling Moraine for 1 CP. Use it in your shooting phase. Select an enemy unit within 6 of a Sloppity Bile Piper. Still the greatest name in Warhammer. From your army, and roll a d6 for each model in that unit. For each model, a roll that exceeds its toughness, you take a mortal wound. Max 6 though. So still cool. Sloppity Bile Piper gets like a explode a baby unit for 6 mortal wounds. It's not bad. Pestilent Inspiration for 1 CP. Use stratagem at the start of your psych phase. Select 1 Legion Demonic Nergo Psyker unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, the model knows all the psych powers from the Warp Rod discipline. So you basically, for 1 CP, you know everything. Relics of the Great Garden for 1. Get an extra relic. Or 2 if you're playing Strike Force. And then Slime Trail. Use a stratagem at the start of your opponent's movement phase. Select 1 Beast Nergo or Hordelix Slimix unit from your army. I'm surprised he doesn't just have that tag, because he's riding one, sort of. Each time an enemy unit, excluding aircraft Titanic units, is within engagement range of that unit, is selected to move. Roll a dice. On a 4+, the enemy unit cannot fall back. So a no fallback, because you're all stuck. Swarming Flies for 2. Use this in your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase. Select 1 Nergal unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy model makes an attack against them, they're -1 to hit. So you can just buy -1 to hit for 2 CPs. Crushing Bulk, it's your charge impact hits basically for Plague Drones, Beast Nergal, or Great Unclean Ones. Select a unit within an engagement range at the end of a charge move and roll a d6 for each model in the charging unit, adding 3 if they're a Great Unclean One. On a 6+, take d3 mortal wounds. On a 9, they take d3 plus 3 mortal wounds instead. So basically only the Great Unclean One can get the 9, and that would be a 6 with a +3. And then a Plague Banner, he just belly flops on them. And then a Plague Banner for 1 CP for your Icon unit from your army when they're selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, unmodified wound roll of 6 inflicts a mortal wound on the target, and the attack sequence ends for a maximum of 6. So now everybody's got banners because you have Icons in all your Plague Bearer units usually, which means that for 1 CP, like your big fat unit of Plague Bearers can activate the 6 to wound or a mortal wound to a max of 6. That's when you're probably using every round once you're stuck into combat, because that's a great way to get through enemy armor and have wounds that just explode through. All right, the Warp Rot Discipline. Stream of Corruption, it's your barf. Warp Charge 6, and it closes enemy within 12 invisible takes d3 mortals, and if it contains 11 or more, it's d3 plus 2 mortals, because there's more guys getting puked on. Flushy Abundance on a 7, it's for 1 of your Nergal core units within 18 invisible, +1 toughness. Nurgle's Rot, Warp Charge 7. If you manifest it, roll 2d6 for each enemy unit within 6. If it's higher than the highest toughness in the model in the unit, they take d3 mortal wounds. If it's double, they take d6 instead. Oof. Shriveling Pox, Warp Charge of 6. If it's manifested, select 1 enemy unit within 18 invisible to the Psyker until the start of your next Psych phase, they're -1 toughness. So basically, it's your like debuff. Doesn't matter if it's a vehicle or not. That's why I was trying to see if it was. I just selected 1 enemy unit within 18, so you could actually -1 toughness like knights and stuff too. That's a pretty powerful ability. Usually, like the Nergal ones only affect non-vehicles, but this one seems to just affect everybody. That's a good malediction. Virulent Blessing, it's for a friendly Legion Demonic Nergal core. With an 18 invisible, they get +1 of the damage characteristics with their melee weapons. And then Malodorous Paul. You can pick it's Warp Charge 8, pick an enemy unit with an 18 invisible, and until the start of the next psych phase, they can't perform actions, and if they have one, it fails, and they lose OBSEC. So you just remove OBSEC for an 8. That's tactically incredibly useful. Shriveling Pox could be amazing in certain armies. I don't know if I just like carry it in my back pocket. And the other ones are all okay. Actually, they're all kind of great. When Nurgle's Rot's great once you've gotten into combat with your Great Unclean One. Like I think it depends on where in the battlefield that model's going to sit. Like the Great Unclean One, you probably want to have Nurgle's Rot, because then you can be in the middle of the army and just be basically auraing out that 6-inch aura, diving into the middle of stuff. Malodorous Paul is probably for a sit-back character to like pull OBSEC off units once you're in combat. So like a Herald or something sitting back and like just aura buffing other units. Maybe you can give him Virulent Blessing. All right, Warlord Traits. So Epidemius has Virulent Touch, Horticlix has Acidic Ichor, and Rodriguez has Pestilent Miasma. Heaving Mass is add 2 to your wounds. Acidic Ichor, each time this world loses a wound as a result of a melee attack, roll a 4+, they take a mortal wound for a maximum of 6. Basically, you're splashing your blood on people. Virulent Touch, each time this Warlord makes a melee attack, if it hits scored, it just automatically wounds, except against Titanic units. So that one doesn't work on Knights, but it does work on monsters. So yeah, if you're playing against Tyranids a lot, Virulent Touch seems real good. Just auto-wounding if you hit. And then Plague Fly, while the enemy unit's within 6 of the Warlord, each time a model unit makes a melee attack, they're -1 to hit, and they can't perform actions. Which means you just walk. They can't start to perform actions. It won't cause actions to fail, though. That's an important distinction. Overflowing Fecundity. This one's each time an attack's made by this Warlord, an unmodified wound roll of 1 to 3 auto fail, so he has transhuman basically. And then Pestilent Miasma. At the start of the fight phase, roll d6 for each enemy unit engaged with the Warlord. On a 2 to 5, take a mortal wound. On a 6, take d3 mortal wounds. So he becomes bad. So Rodriguez has that one basically automatically, and you could double down with Nergo's Rot to do more. Which means Rodriguez could just be a big Death Star of like 6-inch range exploding mortal wounds, and then once he's in melee, he gets the Pestilent Miasma as well. Acidic Ichor's on Slimex. If you hurt him, he hurts you back. And then Epidemius has got Virulent Touch for that auto wounding. But yeah, it's pro good. The Relics of Nergal. All right, Horn of Nergal's Rot. Each time the bearer is selected to fight, after its attack has been resolved, you can select 1 friendly Plague Bearer's Infantry Corps wholly within 18 to be replenished. Roll 1d6 for each enemy model that was destroyed. On a 4+, return a destroyed Plague Bearer to a maximum of 3 per turn. So basically you get guys back. The Entropic Knell. In your command phase, select 1 enemy unit within 12 until the start of the next command phase. Enemy units cannot benefit from the enemy unit's aura abilities, and for the purpose of determining which player controls an objective, you half the number of models in that unit. A Tome of 1,000 Poxes for the Psyker. No additional power from the Warp Rod discipline, and each time the bearer attempts to manifest one, if the result is 7, they cannot be denied. I mean, that's a really good ability. I mean, the Tome of 1,000 Poxes combined, like if you build a Great Unclean one, the Tome of 1,000 Poxes combined with Nergal's Rot and let's say maybe Stream of Corruption, maybe Shriveling Pox, they could debuff their targets. Or Malodorous Paw, I don't know. Even just Nergal's Rot. And then something else you want to get off as a buff, so maybe Stream or Fleshy Abundance. Stream to vomit on people, Fleshy Abundance. If you just want to do straight damage, Stream in the Nergal's Rot. I think he knows 3. Let's look at that one. Great Unclean one knows 2. And can deny 1. It knows, yeah, Smite and 2. So, like, if you wanted, like, an offensive Great Unclean one, you take the Tome of 1,000 Poxes. You give him the Warlord trait for, where is it? Maybe the Auto Wound. Just give him Transhuman. Give him the Overflowing Fecundity for his Warlord trait, and then Nergal's Rot and Stream of Corruption, and just send him in the middle of the army. So you can only wound him on... He's Toughness 9 already, and the best you can ever wound him on is a 4+. Actually... yeah, I mean, I would still do that, because then even like the superpower weapons, they aim at him, only wound on 4s. That's a huge deal. He's got 22 wounds. And then auto, like, it's not, like, it's irresistible force, basically. Actually, you know 3 powers then as well, because you know an extra one from the tome. So you could also know Shriveling Pox. The ones you really want to have get off every round, right, once he's in melee, like Shriveling Pox. You could also up his armor save. You could also smite with him. Corruption is the other one. Relic and Nergal. Select a melee weapon, +1 damage. Each time attack is made with that weapon. Any rules that ignore wounds can't be used, and it counts as a relic. So you can make a guy with a demonic weapon, basically. Effluvior, it's for a plague fail. Range 7 inches, assault 3d3. +1, -3, 3 damage. So if it's on a Great Unclean, it's strength 8, -3, 3 damage. And excess wounds are not lost, they overflow. I mean, that's another really good high damage one. Plague Flail. So what's a Plague Flail look like there? It's going to be, yeah, it's going to be 3+ hit plus skill, not 2+ though. Oh, so good though. Having it go through. Assault 3d3. And damage keeps going through at -3 AP. Oh my god, that's so good. Unfortunately, it's a shooting attack, so you can't take the auto-hitting Virulent Touch. It's only against melee attacks. So you can't make it auto-wound, but still pretty great. All right, and then Endless Gift. To start your command phase, the bearer gains number of lost wounds equal to the current battle round. So the longer the game goes on, the more wounds you get back. That's another great one as a relic. Roddy Rodriguez. He's got a 24 wound stack, sorry. It's 2 more. The Greater Uncleans have 2 more wounds than the other Greater Demons. Normally it's 20, then it goes 22 for them and 24 for Roddy. 7-inch move, 2+3+, 7-9. Man, toughness 9. 24 wounds, 6 attacks, leadership 10, 5+4+. His armor saves a bit worse against shooting. I mean, he's just a big sack of filth. Stream of Brackish Filth is his range attack. Assault 2d6, 6-3/1 damage. Auto hits. Fanged Maw gets an extra Malefic attack. Nurgling Claws, 7 extra Malefic attacks and strength 2. And then Gnarl Rods, it's got a Mighty Strike or a Sweeping Blow. Mighty Strike is +1, -3/3 damage, and unmodified hit rolls of 6 auto wounds. And Sweeping Blow is 2 attacks per, so you get 12 attacks. Healthy at strength 7, -2/1 damage. So he's not that great a melee fighter, like he's pretty good. Strength 8, -3/3 damage isn't as good as most Greater Demons. The 6 to hit's nice, but like, it's the other stuff. The Deluge of Nergo. Each time this model successfully manifests a psych power, if the result of the psych test was a 7 or more, after resolving it, the closest enemy unit within 24 takes D3 mortal wounds, and he knows 2 per turn. He gets the Demon Lord, so reroll 1s, and he manifests 2 and knows 2 from Warp Rot. And then Great Unclean One's basically the same, exact same core stat line it looks like. Plague, and he has got the option of everything. Plague Flail. It's just the Deluge. That's the difference. But you can give him a Doomsday Bell or a Bile Blade. Bile Blade is user -3/2 damage and reroll wounds. And then his Bile Sword is Mighty Strike +3 -3 is the same. -3d6. Doomsday Bell +1 -1 2 damage, and then Ruinous Claws are the same as well. And the Plague Flail is base. It's not 3d3 normally. It's Assault d6 +3. And -3/2 damage, if you're not taking the Relic one. I don't know, Great Unclean One seems really good. I don't think I'd take Rodriguez, just gonna want to take the combo on him to make him like transhuman and able to shrug stuff off. I like the auto 7, can't be dispelled. Oh, the certain armies can't dispel anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Poxbringer is your Herald, 2+3+, strength 5, toughness 6, 6 wounds, more wounds than a normal Herald, 3 attacks, 5/4. And he's got a Foul Bale Blade, -3/2 damage, and unmodified hit rolls of 6 auto wound. Herald Nurgle, Poxbringer. So he gets the +1 damage characteristic on a 6 to hit for a Plague Bearer core. He just picks a core unit and calls him out. And he can manifest 1, and he knows 1. The Spoilpox Scrivener, they've got the extra, they're still a Herald, so reroll 1, or reroll 1s to wound, because they're Heralds, not 1s to hit. That's for the Lords. And then Keep Counting. In your command phase, select 1 friendly Plague Bearer core next to the, within 6, and still start the next command phase. Each time they make a melee attack, they're +1 to hit, and they have, if that unit has the objective security ability, and then if they, so it gives OBSEC to the non-troop core, and if they already have it, they count as 2 models each. That's a nice ability. Being able to hand out OBSEC to non-troop core units means like your drones have it, a bunch of other guys have it. So Plague Bearer core, so that's to be like the drones and stuff like that, but most of them are Plague Bearers. Still has disgusting sneezes. His first range attack. Epidemius. Look at that old resin mini. He was so cool when he came out. He's 2+3+. He's still a Talisman. 9 wounds, so no damage track. 4 attacks, 5/4. They've all got 5/4 saves. Except for Horticlus. He goes to 4/4 because he's mounted. Foul Bale Blade's the same. Nurgling Claws are Malefic 7. He's a Herald. Tally of Pestilence. While this model's in the battlefield, keep a tally of how many enemy models are destroyed by attacks made by a Legion of Monarch and Nurgle units in your army. At the start of the battle round, if there's 7 or more marks in the tally, after making a Warp Storm roll, add 1 additional Warp Storm point and reset to 0. So basically, he's a Warp Storm point generator now. I don't know. He's a lot of points to do that. Schlappity Bow Piper. He's basically a Herald, so 2+3+, strength 5, toughness 5, 6 wounds, 3 attacks, 5/4. A Marauder. This is like a little puppet. Auto wounds on 6s, just a little bop stick. And then he's got Jolly Pipes. In your command phase, select 1 Great Unclean One, Nurglings, or Plague Bearer core within 6 and give me either +1 move, +1 to advance and charge rolls. It's both, actually, get both. And then reroll 1s to wounds. Still gives a Herald. Disease of Mirth. In your morale phase, you can select 1 enemy unit within 12 of the model and roll 3d6. If it's greater than their leadership, select one of the following results to take effect until the start of the next morale phase. They can't perform actions, and they lose OBSEC. So one of those two things happens. Either they fail their action and lose their action, or they lose OBSEC. So again, Bowpiper feels like an auto-include just for that utility. He's not a Psyker, but he's still got Herald and Nurgle, so you can reroll 1s to wound. Have him follow in the rear with the gear behind people. Poxbringer is more versatile, but I think you take him as the Herald backing, the no-slot Herald backing up your good unclean one. And the Scrivener also being able to do that. Handout Obsec, I think, is the other one. I think it's Bilepiper and Scrivener over the basic Poxbringer. And you have them be like your free Heralds that follow the Great Unclean One in. And they're not that many points, like 100 points each. Slimix. He is able to hand out reroll once to wound and Nergo Core. Beast Handler. Beast Nergo and Plague Drones within 9 can reroll charge rolls, and each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the hit roll. You have to pick 1 though to do that. So like pick a unit in the command phase, and then they get to do that. And then Seed the Garden of Nergo. At the end of your movement phase, if this model is wholly within area terrain, you can select for that area terrain feature to be seeded. If you do so, it's difficult ground for enemy, and each time an enemy unit makes a Paladin move. So any type of move excluding Paladin and Consolidation in the area terrain on a 2+ D3 mortal wounds. So you can basically lay out bombs. He's neat, but like, again, terrain specific, unless you're taking lots of pox or plague drones. The Plague Bearers, so your core, 2 wounds each, 5/4, really nice core stat line there, 2 attacks, 4s and 4s to hit, but you got lots of ways to reroll, floating around the army. The Plague Sword is -2/1 damage, but a 6 to hit auto wounds, so you're just trying to chuck lots of dice there, get the auto wounds at -2, and you got ways of upping their damage too with your characters and your psych powers. While the unit contains any, so you get icons and instruments, and there's demonic, that's it. Nurglings have strength 2, toughness 3 with 4 wounds and 4 attacks, and they still have their bothersome scamps, so they're -1 to hit. Mischief Makers. During deployment, when you set up this unit, it can be set up anywhere in the battlefield, more than 9 from your opponent's deployment zone and enemy models. And then Tide of Tiny Bodies. If your army is Battleforged, this unit cannot be selected to be compulsory troops because they're just little dudes. No getting all their wounds back though. So just -1 to hit now. Your Beast and Nurgle for an elite choice. I'm surprised they're elite. I feel like they should be fast. I don't know why, but they feel like a fast attack choice in this army. I don't know, feel like, I mean, I guess the Plague Drones are definitely fast attack choice. You only have 1 elite choice, so whatever. They have Putrid Appendages. They're 7 wounds, strength up to 6 with a 4+ to hit. No random movement anymore, which is nice, just movement 6. 6 attacks, leadership 7, 5/4. -2/2 damage attacks, and rolls of 6 do 2 mortal wounds. They do 2 mortal wounds in melee. That's not bad. I mean, you get 1 every round with 6 attacks usually. They're attention seeking because they're big puppies. If this unit's eligible to perform heroic interventions as if they were a character, they can do so within 6 or 5. And then Grotesque Regeneration at the end of each phase. If the model in the unit lost any wounds, it regains all its wounds. So they still have that. And then Gooey Demise. Each time a model in this unit is destroyed, roll a d6 before removing it from play. On a 6, it explodes, and every enemy unit within 3 takes a mortal wound. So at the end of each phase, if someone was wounded but not destroyed, they get all their wounds back. That feels like a really powerful ability on a 7-wound invulnerable model. But they're not core. They're beasts. Now they're Nurglings, obviously. Plague Drones, who are also core. 4/4, strength toughness 5/6, 5 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 7, 5/4, 10-inch move. They get their grenades still for 12-inch range, Malefic 2 for the mouth parts, which are damage 2 and -2, which is nice. Prensile Proboscis, and I think only 1 of them gets it. Yeah, Nemo. Oh, they can be replaced with. So you can have 4 attacks at 1 damage at strength 4, or 2 attacks at strength 5 -2/2 damage. I don't know if I'd ever take not the strength 5 -2/2 damage, because then that's out the same. I guess if you're going against 1-wound models. And then the Plague Sword gets each time this thing hits on a 6, it automatically wounds. You don't get that in the bug attacks. And then your Feculent Gnarlmaw, getting some terrain in here. Strength 6, toughness 7, 9 wounds, leadership 7, 4/3. The garden, during deployment, so the garden grows. When you set up this unit, it can be set up anywhere in the battlefield, more than 9 from the opponent's deployment zone, and enemy models. Sickness Blossoms, at the start of each turn, roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within engagement range. On a 2 to 5, take a mortal wound. On a 6, take d3. And if any enemy model is destroyed as a result of those mortal wounds, gain a Warp Storm point. So you don't want to be in melee with it. It's got a Shroud of Flies. While friendly Legion, Demonic, and Nurgle units are within 6, each time a ranged attack is made against them, -1 to hit. That's actually pretty cool. So you can use them as cover, almost. And then Plague Bell Chimes. In your command phase, you can select 1 friendly Plague Bearer core unit within 6 of this model to be replenished. If you do so, roll 7d6, and for each 6, rigor an A destroyed model with their full wounds. They can't be set up engagement unless they're already engagement. So you can basically use them as notes to replenish stuff, which is cool. All right, the Book of Excess. We're on to Slaanesh, some of the nicest models in this range. So Exalted Keepers. Wow, what do we got? So Diaphanous Panoply. So they got some very cool robes that they're wearing. -1 to wound from range attacks. Epicurean, that's 35 points. Epicurean Agonies. Each time this model makes a melee attack, an unmodified roll of 6, it scores an additional hit to hit. And then Insatiable Onslaught, +2 to advance and charge rolls. That's cool if they're teleporting in for whatever reason. All right, your strats. Thirst for Souls for 1 CP. Using the fight phase when a Slaanesh unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack against an Eldari unit, reroll the hits and wounds. So again, faction specific, but this is your jam. You're hunting Eldar Souls. They made you. So reroll everything for 1 CP. Razor Sharp Caress for 1 CP, using the fight phase when a Demonette unit from your army is selected to fight. 6 is to hit. Or sorry, wound rolls of 6 improve your AP by 1. That's 1 CP. Endless Dance for 1. Using the fight phase when Daemonettes are selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a pylon or consolidates, it can move up to an additional 3 inches. This is not cumulative with any other rule that increases the distance models can pylon or consolidate. Impossible Elegance. Use stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Select 1 Slaanesh character model from your army until the end of the fight phase. Each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, against them until the end of that turn. No, wait, until the end of the phase. 1 to 3s to hit them always fail. So it's like transhuman for being hit against. Would be very handy for, I mean, it's not quite transhuman for wound rolls, but it would be good for when units are in melee, like your keepers. Exquisite Gifts for extra relics. Melodic Delirium for 1 CP. Using your opponent's psychic phase at the start. Select 1 Fiends unit in your army, and they get Melodic Delirium as an aura. When enemy Psyker unit is within 12 of this unit, each time a Psych test is taken for that unit, subtract 2 from the total. So debuff your opponent's Psychic powers for 1 CP, as long as you have Fiends. And then Race Through the Warp for 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your command phase. Select 1 Legion Demonica Slaanesh vehicle unit, excluding Soul Grinders, and remove that from the battlefield and place it in strategic reserves. And then Rapture Standard for your icons. Use it at the start of this fight phase until the end of the phase. Each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, reroll the hit roll. So just buy rerolls to hit for your big fat unit Demonettes with an icon. The Soul Stain Discipline. What a name. Cacophonic Choir, not Ichor. It's a Witchfire, cast on 7, roll 3d6, and the close enemy unit with an 18 invisible to the Psyker suffers a mortal wound for each point that exceeds their leadership by, to a maximum of 6. That could be very handy or very terrible. I mean, it's 3d6, the average roll is 11, so like a Marine unit that's got a Sergeant with an 8, you're doing 3 wounds. Symphony of Pain, and again, you can debuff leadership, right? So you have the Demonic Terror ability that's going to pull leadership down, which could make that more mortal wounds. So it could be powerful. And it's within 18, but you got to angle it so it's closest. Symphony of Pain has a warp charge of 7. If manifested, select 1 enemy unit. And sorry, it's not just... It works on vehicles as well. That's just, sorry, it just occurred to me. You can use that for knights. Leadership, 9 knights, debuff their leadership, and then try and do mortal wounds that way. Sorry, Symphony of Pain. Malediction, cast on 7. Select an enemy unit with an 18 invisible until the start of the next psychic power phase. Each time until your next psychic phase, each time a melee attack is made by a model in that unit, they're -1 to hit and wound. So you just like crush their ability to fight in melee. Hysterical Frenzy. Blessing on a 7. Select a friendly Slaanesh core unit with 18 invisible. Until the start of the next psychic phase, add 1 to their attacks, and each time they make a melee attack, unmodified hits of 6 do an extra hit. Delightful Agonies. It's a blessing. Cast on 6, pick a friendly core, Slaanesh core with an 18 invisible. They get a 5+ wound shrug. And then Pavane of Slaanesh. It's a Witchfire, cast on 6, manifested. Select 1 enemy unit with an 18 invisible. Roll a d6 for each model in the unit. For each 5+, the unit takes a mortal wound. And then Phantasmagoria, Witchfire on 7. If manifested, select 1 enemy unit with an 18 invisible. And roll 6d6 for each 5+, the unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Until the start of your next psychic phase. Each time that unit suffers a mortal wound as a result of the psychic power, subtract 1 from their leadership. Woof! That doesn't go away. So you want to start pulling leadership out. So there's your little combo. Yeah, 66. Each 5+ is a mortal wound, and each mortal wound is -1 leadership. So you do Phantasmagoria and try and do 3 mortal wounds, and they're -3 leadership, and then you go Kakao Acquire, and if they're closest, 3d6 versus their leadership, and they take mortal wounds to a maximum of 6. So hit that Marine unit, do 3 mortal wounds, and then chuck the Kakao Acquire at them, and do more mortal wounds. You can do like 9 a turn. If you want. If something has leadership 8, you could easily just wombo that for like 9 mortal wounds a turn. Sorry, you should get 2. Like on average, rolling 66, you're going to get 2 5+s. So you're going to go leadership 6, then an average roll of 11, you can do 5 mortal wounds. So you're going to do 7 mortal wounds probably against a standard leadership 8 thing. Against the knight, you do 1 less. We go to 7, you do 4 more. So you do 2 and then 4 would be 6 mortal wounds. I mean, it's you do it round by round though, and all of a sudden you're grinding something to nothing. Slaanesh Warlord Traits. You get Warp Mist. At the end of the battle round, the Warlord can retain up to 2 unspent Warpstone points. Again, you have to buy it this time, like the Nergo one. You just take it as a Warlord trait to go round by round. Fatal Caress. When you make a melee attack, unmodified successful wound roll of 5+, and vulnerable saves can't be made. So 5s to wound, no invuls. That can be super handy. Murder Dance. Each time this Warlord fights, if it made a charge, you get +D3 attacks. Quicksilver Duelist. When you make a melee attack, reroll the hit roll, and if it's against a character, you can also reroll the wound roll. A Savage Hedonist. At the start of each battle round, add 1 to their strength to a maximum of +3. So by turn 3, you are strength +3, which is huge. And then Aura of Bewitchment. While within 6 of this Warlord, enemy units can't perform actions. And if they come within range, they automatically fail. And so Shalaxia has Quicksilver Duelist for the rerolls. Celeste has the Aura of Bewitchment, and then the Mask has the Murder Dance for +D3 attacks. All right, your Relics. The Forbidden Gem. In your command phase, select 1 enemy within 12 of the bear. Any Aura abilities they have no effect. The Mark of Excess, +1 attack, and each time the monster makes a melee attack, the bear makes a melee attack that destroys a character, monster, or vehicle, they get +1 forever, extra attack. The Soul Stealer, it's a Wit Stealer sword or Hellforged sword only, which I think applies to this guy. Yep, the Wit Stealer sword can be used. It's melee +2 -3/3 damage, and each time a model is destroyed by an attack made with this weapon, the bearer gains a lost wound. Each time it makes an attack against an Eldar unit, if it hits score, the attack automatically wounds. It hates Eldar. Slothful Claws. Your Ravaging Claws are Snapping Claws only, and that's again for your Great Unclean one, or not your Great Unclean, your Keeper Secrets. I get +1 damage, and each time an enemy model loses a wound as a result of an attack made by this, until the end of the phase, they can't be affected by auras or other abilities from other enemy units. So basically, you stop being able to get your rerolls or whatever. And the weapon's not considered a relic. So +1 damage and turn off the ability of a unit to access auras until the end of the phase. So like, effectively that means you charge in, you fight a Marine unit, you kill a couple of them, and then when they fight back against you, wouldn't be able to use like the reroll to hit from a Chapter Master or the Lieutenant's reroll to wound or whatever. Silver Strike, it's a Wit Stealer sword only. It's +3 -3/3 damage, and each time an enemy model loses any wounds as a result of an attack with this weapon. And until the end of the battle, each time that model makes a melee attack, they're -1 to hit and wound. So, yeah, two swords basically that can be given to either your Keeper Secrets, or I think where's your big guy? Is it the Transmover? Nope, not you. Tormentbringer? Nope. Nope, it's just them, really. It looks like, because I don't think anyone else has a sword. Because Slusk is a named character. No, that's going to be it. It's just your Keepers. And then Whip of Agony for a Living Whip or Lash of Torment only. Change the type of this to Assault 8. And then each time the bear makes an attack against with a Living Whip or Lash of Torment, unmodified, except against vehicles, unmodified successful hit rolls of 4+ automatically wound, because you're just like tormenting them. Shalaxi, 22 wounds. She's 2+2+, movement 16 on foot without fly even. 2+2+, strength 6, toughness 7, 22 wounds, 6 stacks, leadership 10, 5+, 4+. Living Whip is assault 6 -2/2 damage. It's a very cool shooting attack. And then Snapping Claws are Malefic 4 extra attacks that -4, 3 damage. That's a big, heavy, extra Malefic attack. I mean, it's only strength 6, but still. If you give them the plus strength. Actually, Shalaxi can't have that, but the regular one, Snapping Claws, if you give them the plus attacks. Oh, it's yeah, because you're plus strength, because you're strength user. So you'd be strength 7 turn 1, 8, 9 by turn 3. It would be Malefic 4 and strength 9 -3, 3 damage. And then Soul Piercer, that's ×2 -4, 3 damage. So she's strength 12. And if you target a character, its damage is D3 + 3. And then the Shining Aegis, this bears a demonic save of 4+4+, and despite what's up here, I don't know why. And oh, you can take the Living Whip away and give it a Shining Aegis instead. Has its Lord Aura for reroll 1s, Mesmerizing Form. You're always -1 to hit her, and then each time the attack is made against them, -1 to wound as well. Monarch of the Hunt. This model is eligible to perform a heroic intervention if it's within 6 horizontally and 5 vertically of any enemy characters. And then Manifest 2, Nose 2. And it's a Warp Locust, you can teleport next to it. Alright, Base Keeper, same core stats, 2 less wounds. Living Whip's the same, Assault 6, Snapping Claws the same, Malefic 4, Wit Stealer Swords +2 -3, 3 damage. And each time an enemy model loses any wounds until the end of the battle, each time that model makes a melee attack, you -1 to hit and wound. The Ritual Knife, you can replace this model's Ritual Knife with either Living Whip, Shining Aegis, or Sinistrous Hand. So the Shining Aegis is the 4+4+. The hand is at the end of the fight phase. If any enemy models, excluding vehicles, were destroyed by an attack made by the bear regains D3 lost wounds. And the Ritual Knife is, at the end of the fight phase, you can select an enemy model within 3 inches of the bear that lost any wounds, and then roll D6 on a 2+, they take D3 mortal wounds. And you're -1 to hit them, but not wound them. And then Nose 2 and can cast 2. It's a cool model. Move 16 is pretty amazing, but no fly, so you're still measuring up and down terrain. Its core stats aren't great. I don't know, the Keeper Secrets used to be a powerhouse. It's relatively cheap, though, I think, compared to like a Great Unclean one. How much is a Great Unclean one? Because Great Unclean one's all beef. Yeah, it's like 16 power to 14 power, 15 to 14. It's a bit cheaper. I think taking 2 Keepers is like, if you're playing Slaanesh, it's just what you do. Or taking Shalaxi and a Keeper. The Enrapturous, Heartstring Lyre. It's 2+3+, strength 4, toughness 4, 4 wounds. Low wound count on these. 4 attacks and 5+4+. You basically are a shooting model, so Cacophonous Melodies, 18, Assault 6, 5 -1 damage, or the Euphonic Blast is 24 inch range, Assault 1, 9 -3, D3 +3. So you get 2, this is basically a sonic weapon, 2 modes. And then your Ravaging Claws are -2, 2 damage. Herald for reroll 1s to wound. Discordant Disruption. While an enemy psych unit's within 24, each time a psych test is made, any doubles cause a miscast. Or perils, sorry. And then Harmonic Alignment. In your command phase, select 1 model with this ability in your army and 1 friendly core unit within 6. You can return 1 destroyed model from that unit to the battlefield with its full wounds. If it's infantry, you can return D3 models instead. These models can be set up within engagement range. So that means that like you can bring 1, I think it's like Fiend back. Where are the Fiends at? Because it's just core units. Yeah, you're not, the chariots aren't core. I was going to be, other units are 1 as well anyway. Yeah, so your Fiends are core. Yeah, so you bring back 1 core or 1 seeker, or D3 Daemons basically. And then the Mask. 10-inch move, 2+3+, strength toughness 4, 4 wounds, 6 attacks. And the Serrated Claws are -3, 2 damage. Eternal Dance. At the start of the fight phase, select 1 enemy unit with engagement, and then select 1 of the following effects. When a Slaanesh model makes a melee attack against that unit, you're +1 to hit. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, they're -1 to hit. And until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, they're -1 to wound. So you can make a -1 to hit, -1 to wound, or you can be +1 to hit them. And then your Heralds reroll 1s to wound, and then Dazzling Acrobatics. Each time this model makes a normal move, advances, fall back, or makes a charge, they can ignore train, and they can charge if they fall back. So just go wherever you want. Celeste. 10 power. Again, no wound track, only 8 wounds. Toughness 6, strength 4, 2+3+, 6 attacks. The whip for shooting is 9-inch range, Assault 6, -2, 1 damage. Big old axe, strength 7, -3. Damage 3, and then the whip and melee is just user Malefic 6. So you get that on top of. Reroll hit rolls a 1. You're a Prince of Chaos. But you're also a Herald, because it's both together. So it's the Herald and the Prince. So worth taking mostly because all your core within 6 get to reroll 1s to hit and wound. It's like a combo character that puts both those things together. It's relatively expensive. It's like 200 points, I think, for her. But like, you're still talking about being able to build. You can centralize all those rerolls in one place without having to take 2 models. Although it does, and because she has 8 wounds, she can't be picked out either, right? So it's not a terrible idea. How many points is she? 200 points flat, yeah. And it's a Psyker, so cast 2 and deny 1. I don't know, it feels like a pretty good deal. The other characters are... I'm trying to figure out what you're missing. Like a Mask doesn't cast. The Enrapturist's 80 points, and it's just reroll wounds. So, yeah, if you want to have your lords off running around fighting, right, because you want your Keeper Secrets like off doing things, and having Celeste central to like all the demonettes and stuff like that to just build in those rerolls is pretty cool. I think Celeste has a place in the army for sure. The Contorted Epitome, 12-inch move, 2+3+, 4/5, 8 wounds, 8 attacks. It's basically another Celeste with a better save, 4+4+. Coiled Tentacles, and it's +1/-2, 3 damage, Malefic 3, and then the Ravaging Claws of the actual demonettes are -2, 2 damage, so it's pretty fighty. That's a pretty high damage output, but low strength. It swallows energy, so each time this model would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound. On a 2+, it's not. So just 2+ shrug mortal wounds is pretty crazy for an 8 wound model with a 4+4+ unmodifiable save. Herald of Slanesh, so you get to reroll 1s to wound, and then Horrible Fascination. While an enemy is within 6 of this model at the start of your command phase, your opponent must roll 3d6. If the result's higher than their leadership, they must have their move and be -1 to hit. And it's cast 2, and then dispel 2, and nose 2. Yeah, it's a better caster basically than Celeste is. I don't know, the two of them are pretty cool support pieces for like supporting your like rank and file. I think Celeste is the better deal. How much is the Epitome? The Epitome, Contorted Epitome. 160, cheaper though. Yeah, for cast 2, dispel 2. Then you get your Torment Bringer, it's your Herald on a Chariot. It does have a declining stat line, 12 wounds. I think I would have liked it better if it didn't. I think if it just gave it 9 wounds, I'd have been happier with it. 2+3+, strength 4, toughness 5, 8 attacks. I would have the attacks go up too from enjoying the pain. Lash Torment, Assault 6, 4/-1/1 damage, Seeker Tongues, Malefic 8. I don't know, Herald for reroll 1s, Torment Bringer. You take a core unit within 6, and then they get +1 to hit until your next command phase in melee. Evasive Speed. Each time a range attack is made against them, they're -1 to hit. And then Scything Impact, when you charge, roll 4d6 for each enemy unit in engagement range for a 5+ to take a mortal wound, and you get +2 attacks. Manifest 1, deny 1, no 1. I don't see a point of the Torment Bringer that much. They're only 120 points, I guess. But they're HQs. I'd rather have like, I don't know. They count as a Herald. So like, you could take Celeste without eating a slot and take a Great Unclean One, because they're also a Herald, which I think is funny. So you could go like Keeper Celeste for 1 HQ slot and have, I mean, it's like 500 points, but it feels like it does more. The Transweaver is just your basic Herald on foot. Can make Demonettes have better AP. And Torment Bringer is the other one on a Chariot. Only 100 points. So it's like you're not Lord level 1, also a Herald. I guess she could be taken as a Herald as well for 100 points. You take the Torment Bringer on an Exalted Secret Chariot for the same points. Also has Scything Impact, also has Evasive Speed, just lower wound count. I'd take this one, I think, because it doesn't degrade. It does the same impact hits. It's still -1 to hit. It still gives you +1 to hit. It's still demonic. It just is like slightly lower level. What do you get? You get Herald, Evasive, Demonic. You get more attacks, basically. This thing still moves 14. Yeah, I don't know why you would ever take this one. I think you would just take the cheap one if you're going to do it. It's 100 points for basically the same offensive output from the impact hits and stuff, and still -1 to hit. And then the Hellfire one is like 120 points, 2+3+, strength 4, toughness 5, 7 wounds, It's the same stat line basically. But it gets Torment Bringer, so your core units can get +1 hits, you're still rerolling ones to wound, you're still evasive speed, cutting down the foe. Each time a spell is selected to fight, if it made a charge move, then its Bladed Axle is Malefic 6, that's what it is. And it manifests one, denies one. Your core, Demonettes, so they've got 10-inch move, they're really fast. Weapon skill 3+3+, spell skill, strength 4, toughness 3, so they're kind of bendy. 1 wound. 4 attacks though, each. Oof, 4 attacks each is nuts. But only leadership 6 and 5/4. Piercing Claws are -2/1 damage. You can give an instrument an icon, a demonic. But they're cheap, 120 points for 10. And they have the definition of glass cannon. And then if you want some powerhouse elites, you got some fiends. 3+, move 14, 3+ to hit, strength 5 toughness 4, 4 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 7. You can bring them back with the 1 character, 5+, 4+. The barbed tail is Malefic. So you got 1 strength 3, strength 5, -3 damage attack, and then the rest of the other 4 are damage 2 and -2. So perfect must, if you're engagement range of these guys, if each time the enemy unit makes an attack, they're -1 to hit. So you're -1 to hit them in melee, if you're not a vehicle or Titanic. And then your cav, your seekers for fast. You get 5 to 10 of them, for about 100 points for 5. 16-inch move, 3+3+, strength toughness 4, 2 wounds, 4 attacks, or core, leadership 7, 5+, 4+. Lashing Tongue is Malefic 2 for just some strength 4 attacks. And your Piercing Claws are -2/1 damage, just like the Demonettes. Icon and your instrument is available too. And then Unholy Speed, they get +1 to charge. They're neat, like little Outrider units for 100 points. And the models are awesome. I don't know, I feel like you lean into your monsters in this faction. And then your Hellfire, your other fast choice, which is the non-character version. It's only 80 points, 7 wounds, evasive speed -1 to hit, cutting down the foe, Malefic 6 in the charge. That's a cool little, I don't know. There's button pushing units that are not great. It's not infantry, it's a vehicle, so it can't do button pushing, although it is kind of infantry. Yeah. And beasts can't push buttons either. It's like your Demonettes are all really, they're doing the button pushing. Seeker Chariots, same thing, just with the lashes instead for assault 6 shots, and then an Exalted Seeker Chariot, which for some reason has 12 wounds, so it's a huge chariot and it gets the damage track. I don't know why you take one that degrades. I would just always take the ones that, I'd rather have more of the ones that blow up. It's 20 points more for one that gets worse. Or just pay 20 points less and take one that fights the same all the time. I guess you get the Scything Impact then. No, you get the Scything Impact on the Seeker Chariot. Just take the Seeker Chariot. Yeah, there's like no reason to ever take one that gets worse for the extra attacks. If you're taking it because you're trying to get the charge off. So just take ones that don't ever get worse. I guess it's on 2's base as opposed to 3's. All right, we're into the Book of the Warp. So this is the Army of Renown and Crusade Army of Renown option for taking Bellicor and his Noctic Discipline. So this is all the kind of Undivided stuff in one book, which is cool, but it's not a lot of units. It's your Demon Prince, your Soul Grinder, and that's it. And then your Army of Renown. All right, so Shrouded Step, the Noctic Discipline. Before again, there's no Warlord trait really, except for the Bellicor one. So the Shrouded Step is your first one. It's a blessing, cast on 6. Take a infantry unit or Disciples of Bellicor infantry unit within 18 of the Psyker, and remove them from the battlefield and set them up anywhere not within 9. And then the Wreathed in Shadow blessing, cast on 7. Select a Demonica unit or a Bellicor unit, excluding monsters and vehicles. Within 12, until the start of your next psychic phase, enemy models cannot target that unit with ranged weapons unless they're closest or within 12. The Pall of Despair is a malediction, casts on a 7. If you select one enemy within 18 invisible, roll 3d6 if it's greater than their leadership. Select one of the following abilities. Either they lose aura abilities, one aura ability. They cannot perform actions and their actions fail, or until the start of the next psychic phase. In the fight phase, that unit's not eligible to fight until everyone else has done so. Void Slivers, Witchfire, casts on 5. If manifested, select one enemy unit within 12 invisible to the Psyker. Draw a line between any part of the Psyker's base, any part of the model's base or hull. If it takes a mortal wound, if that unit contains 11 mortal wound, or a little more models, it takes D3 instead. And every other enemy unit that the line passes over or through suffers a mortal wound. And if it's 11 or more guys, it's D3. So it's like a straight line. A Penumbral Curse, Malediction, has a warp charge of 7. If manifested, select a enemy unit with an 18. Until the start of your next psychic phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, subtract 1 from that attack's wound roll and worsen the AP by 1. And then Betraying Shades. Select 6 models in that unit, add together the unmodified attack characters, so it's a warp charge 6 and an enemy with an 18 invisible. Select up to 6 models and add together the unmodified attacks characteristic of those models. Roll a number of d6 equal to that total. And then if the result of the psychic test was 11 or more, add 1 to the dice result. For each 6 plus, take a mortal wound, a maximum of 6. So you make them attack each other, basically. So you take, like, Demonettes, for example, with 4 attacks each. So that's going to be 26 times 4 is 24 attacks. And then if there is a big cast, like 11 or more, you'd on a 5 plus do mortal wounds, otherwise on a 6. So you'd probably get 4 mortal wounds of that one with that particular unit. All right, Belcor's 21 power. He's got 20 wounds. He's the most expensive Demon Prince in here. He's more than all the greater demons. 12-inch move, 2+2+, strength 8, toughness 7, 20 wounds, 6 attacks, leadership 9, 4+4+. Blade of Shadows, sweeps or pierces. So either user with 2 attacks each, so 12 attacks at -3/1 damage, or you get 6 attacks at +4, so strength 14. No, 12, sorry, -4, D3+3, and no invols, which is super good. Shadow form, each time an attack's made against them, you can't reroll the hit. You're -1 to hit and wound. And then each time a ranged attack is made against them, it's -1 damage. So -1 damage from range, -1 hit and wound for all attacks, and then can't reroll it. And Lord of Torment, when enemy units within 6 of this model, subtract 1 from the leadership characteristic of models in that unit, in addition to your demonic stuff. And each time a combat attrition test is taken for that unit, subtract 1 from that combat attrition. And then finally, Dark Master. While friendly Legion, Demonic, or Belcor unit is within 6, each time a model that unit makes an attack, reroll hit rolls a 1, so everybody rerolls them. And then Spiteful Jealousy. If your army's Battleforged, you cannot include this model in detachment that includes any other Demon Prince models. Each time this model makes an attack against a Demon Prince, you can reroll the hit roll and the wound roll. So he doesn't play it with all the other named Demon Princes. And he gets Shadow Lord as his Warlord trait. So he can manifest 2, and he knows 2 from the Noctic Discipline, and denies 1. Shadow Lord's his Warlord trait, and your command phase like 1 friendly Demonic Core or Disciples of Belcor unit, excluding vehicles within 9, and they can reroll their hits. He's got like a Chapter Master trait. And then basic Demon Princes, which can't even be in the same army as him, which I think is hilarious. They have to have an allegiance, so this is how you pull in your allegiance stuff. They're 2+2+, strength 7, toughness 6, 8 wounds, 6 attacks, leadership 10, 5+4+. Demonic Axe is +2, -2, 3. Hellforged Swords +1, -3, 3. And Malefic Talons is -1, 2 damage. Each time they fight, make an additional attack. You can make them fly with wings, and they can have either an axe or a talon for their sword. Prince of Chaos, reroll 1s. If you're a Demonic Allegiance core, like so, same allegiance. And if you're Khorne, you're +1 strength and 2 to your attacks. If you're Tzeentch, you can manifest 1 additional psychic power and no 1 more. If you're Nergal, you're +1 toughness. And if you're Slaanesh, you're +1 to inches of move. And it just depends. You know 1 from all the different disciplines. And if you're Khorne, you don't know anything extra. The Soul Grinder, strength up is 8, which is pretty great. Move 8, 3+3+. His big Harvester Cannon's heavy 7 -1, 2 damage. And the Phlegm Bombardment, D6. Strength 8, -2, 3 damage, and it's Blast. The Iron Claw can replace the Warp Sword. Times 2, -3, D6 damage. So strength 16. It's pretty fighty in melee. And the Warp Claw and the Warp Sword. Malefic 4 for the Warp Claw. And the Warp Sword is Malefic 2. And then it explodes on a 6 for D3 mortal wounds. And you can give him +2 attacks. Same as this guy. +2 attacks if he's Khorne. Demonic saves 4+4+ if he's Tzeentch. Nergal gets +1 toughness. He's toughness 9. Whew! And then Slaanesh is +4 movement for 12 inches of move. Not core though. I was hoping he'd be like a Dread. And then Army of Renown. So I mean, this is, one of these variant ways of playing the army where you're basically collecting together all of the demonic sort of like powers under the banner of Belcor. And you got to abide by those restrictions, but get some bonuses. So restrictions. Everybody's got to be Chaos. Your Warlord must be Belcor. You can't have any other named characters or Demon Prince models. Your army cannot include any greater demons, demon engines, world leaders, Thousand Sons, Death Guard, Emperor's Children, Chaos Knights, excluding one House Corvax unit, as described under benefits. Titanicus, Traitorous, Khorne Berserkers, Rubric Marines, Plague Marines, or Noise Marine units. You can't include more Cultist units than other Traitorous Astartes infantry, excluding characters. You can't include Legions Demonic units and Traitorous Astartes units in the same detachment, and Traitorous Astartes units in your army cannot be given this any marks of chaos. If you upgrade a House Corvax Disciples of Be'lakor unit to have a favor of the Dark Gods, it must be the Blessing of the Dark Master from Chaos Codex Knights, Chaos Knights. And you cannot include a second Legions Demonic unit in your army with the same Allegiance keyword unless your army also includes at least one Legions Demonic unit from your army with each other Allegiance keyword. You can't include a Legions Demonic unit in your army, a third one in your army unless with the same Legions Demonic keyword unless your army also includes at least two Legions Demonic units with the other Allegiance keywords and so on. Be'lakor is considered to be excluded when considering this restriction. So for an example, if your army includes a Legion Demonica Khorne unit, you cannot add a second Legion Demonica Core unit to your army unless your army also includes one Tzeentch unit, one Nurgle unit, and one Slaanesh unit. So you always have to have 4 of a kind, is the idea, right? One from each god. So the benefits. Everybody gets the Disciple of Be'lakor keyword. All units in your army with the Traitorous Astartes faction, excluding Cultists units, gain the Legion Disciples keyword. All units in your army with the Legion Demonica faction keyword gain the Demonic Disciples keyword. Your army can include up to one Super Heavy Auxiliary detachment that contains one Chaos Knight House Corvax unit. That unit gains the Agent of Chaos keyword. The detachment still gains all the detachment abilities available to House Corvax units listed in Codex Chaos Knights, even though they're an auxiliary detachment, they don't normally do so. All troops gain OBSEC. If a detachment contains any units with the Traitorous Astartes faction keyword, such a detachment never counts as a Legion detachment, so no gaining a Legion. And you can't use any Legion-specific strats, relics, warlord traits, or psychic powers. Even if such a detachment only contains Traitorous Astartes units with a Black Legion keyword, it would not count as a Legion detachment. You cannot give Black Legion stratagems. You cannot give a Black Legion character model, Black Legion warlord trait, etc. You have access to these strats. And then Disciples of Be'lakor units from your army. Psyker units that can use the Noctic Discipline. And the Legion, so likely if you have like a Chaos Sorcerer Lord, you could use the Noctic Discipline. Legion Disciples units in your armies cannot have a Legion trait, but instead gain the Disciples of Shadow ability, which is this one. And your army can use the Warp Storm ability, even though it includes Traitorous Astartes units. So this is basically Be'lakor and like his flunkies. So you get Traitor Marines, some Cultists potentially. You have to have 1 in 4 for all the marks for your Demonica stuff. And then like 4 of each. And then your Traitor Marines get Disciples of Shadow. Each time a combat attrition test is taken for them, add 1 to the test. And each time a range attack is made against this unit, if they're more than 12 away, they're -1 to hit. And then your strats, Shadow Pact, you can have a Knight as a Super Heavy Auxiliary. So you could have like, I kind of like it because it kind of brings everything under one banner. So if like you're playing a Strike Force game and you have 3 detachments, you could go like Demon with Be'lakor detachment, like a patrol of like Astartes, and then like a single Knight. And have this like cool... This is the like, hey, old Realms of Chaos, here's everything mixed together army list, but it has to have Be'lakor in it. So, if you don't have Be'lakor, if you're not spending that, what, like 300 points or something insane? Like how many points is he? 400 points? He's a lot. 420 points. So the first 5th of your army is pre-spent. We get Shadow Pact. It's a use a stratagem in your command phase. Select 1 Chaos Undivided Legion Disciples infantry unit from your army. So your Chaos Space Marines. Then select 1 of the pacts below. Until the starting expand phase, you get that pact. Pact to Blood, +1 attack. Pact to Fate, 5+ invul. Pact to Plague, +1 toughness. And Pact of Excess, +1 move. And advance and charge rolls. So you can like buff a Marine unit every turn with something. A Demonic Boon for 1 CP. Use stratagem at the start of the fight phase when a Disciples unit, which is again all the Astartes stuff, excluding vehicle units, sorry. Frame your army that's within 6 of a friendly Demonic Disciples unit is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, they're +1 strength. And each time they fight, an automatically hit roll of 6 automatically wounds. So you jack them up. And then Legions of Shade for 1 CP. Use it at the start of your movement phase, or start of your charge phase. Select 1 Disciples of Be'lakor unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, models in that unit can move horizontally through enemy models. They cannot finish a move on top. So you basically move through enemy models. Mortal Boon for 2 CPs. Use stratagem at the start of the morale phase. Select one Disciples unit from your army that's within 6 of a friendly Legion Disciples unit, excluding vehicles. And until the end of the phase, each time a morale test is taken for that Demonic Disciples unit, it is automatically passed and counts as having passed with an unmodified roll of a 1. So anything that, there's none of those like get guys back on a 1, but it's still useful. The Draft of Terror. Use this stratagem at the start of your morale phase. Select one Demonic Disciples unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, they gain the following ability: Draught of Terror. Aura. While this enemy unit's within 6 of this unit, each model flees. If any models have lost any wounds, one model in the unit regains a lost wound. If no models in the unit have lost any wounds, but it's not starting strength, one of their destroyed models is returned with a wound remaining. And models returned to this unit and in this way can only be set up with engagement range if they're already in engagement range. So your Demonic Disciples basically can like drink people running away and turn it into getting guys back. And then Blessing of Be'lakor. Use stratagem in any phase when a saving throw is made for a Disciples of Be'lakor model from your army against an attack that has failed. If Be'lakor is on the battlefield, the damage characteristic is changed to 0. So for 2 CPs, if your Disciples of Be'lakor model takes an attack, Be'lakor just reduces the damage to 0. And that's it. And we're into Crusade rules. So you can make a cool Crusading army that basically like is after like a certain thing. So like the Khorne guys are trying to hunt skulls. The Slunch guys are trying to do crazy like melee attacks that like they do it like in a certain way. So you charge and kill a unit at the same time that you charge. The Fires of Tzeentch is all about psych powers, trying to corrupt objectives with the Undivided ones. And then of course that gets you new reps. You can become a Demon Prince. You go to like become Ascendant. If one of the gods wants to become Ascendant, you get different rewards for doing it. And some beautiful Crusade armies. This is a really cool army. Toby Lydiard's like Khorne army. I like all the striations. It reminds me of, oh god, there was a painter in like the early 2000s that painted like this. It was really striking. Won a bunch of US Golden Demons. What was his name? I don't remember it off the top of my head. But it was like a non-metal metal, like really striking paint style like this that like really popped. It was very different. And then your weapon stuff, your point values, which again I'm not gonna, unless you want to pause, go for it. But pretty much power times 20 is your point values across the board here. And that's it. Glossary, and we're done. It's a great game for your 70 points. This is for your campaign games. And that's it. The Codex Chaos Demons. Woo, this is a long one. It's funny, this is a big-ish book. It's almost all like killer. Like and there's a lot, like I like how it was subdivided. It's really easy to digest, and I really enjoyed reading this one because it feels like it's trying to let you play the Chaos Army a bunch of different ways, and there's multiple ways to play it out of the book. So you can do like a pure God army. You can take them as an allied detachment in a Chaos Space Marine army. You can take them as a like a host undivided under Be'lakor, and that's where I think a book gets interesting, right? Like you have one book with multiple ways to play the army, and they all have like kind of a hook that makes sense and also could be fun to do and could be viable, you know what I mean, and tactically interesting in like a competitive format. I'm sure one will maybe be best or whatever. I'm not concerned with that. I'm concerned with interesting book writing, and this is a different take on writing a 40k codex. And I think, honestly, a breath of fresh air. Like, I'm sick of these. Like, here's the faction rules. Here's the codex all laid out. Like, this is. They took an army that is supposed to feel different and made it feel different. Made it play 3 different ways. I feel like this a lot like the Chaos Knight book. It let you make Chaos feel more like the Imperium in that like you have all these different factions, but they do come together a lot, and you can mix and match them in different ways. I wish other Imperial codexes had done that. Like there should have been like a way of taking a Custodes detachment where they're like keeping an eye on that Imperial commander. I felt like it'd be cool to take a Chaos Space or even a Space Marine detachment that's supposed to be like, this is what we gave you, guardsmen. You know, like so when the Guard Codex came out, there'd be like a little like mini detachment, like a way of taking like a patrol that's literally just like, it gets some benefits for being a patrol because it's some part of a Space Marine chapter that's been sent off to fight with the Guard. Like, I really like that in Codex writing where there's different ways to play the army that represents different ways they've been sort of like deployed across the story of the universe. And it just gives different tactical challenges and different ways of like augmenting your army. I think it's a good way to write a book, and this one in particular I think accomplished that. So good job, design team. We're late in the edition, but Codex Chaos Daemons is a good one. So Big thanks for watching. It's available obviously for pre-order today, and big thanks for GW sending along the advanced review copy. Until next time, Ash, top wargaming. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continuing to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Death Ray Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.